Good afternoon. This is the Marion City Council regular meeting, Thursday, September 3rd. It is now 5:30, and at this time we will do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Pazor.
Here.
Ms. Etzel. Present. Mr. Spinks.
Present.
Mayor Buska.
Present.
Mr. Crawford.
Present.
Mr. Abalosly.
Here.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
At this time, Councilman Speaks will do the moment of silence.
Yeah. Everyone would pause for a moment and give due for whatever you like. Thank you.
At this time, we do have a proclamation for Constitution Week. Is anyone here from the Daughters of American Revolution? Yes, here. Step forward. I'll come out front here. You can come closer and get a better angle if you want to.
Thank you.
Proclamation. Whereas the tradition of celebrating the Constitution was started many years ago by the Daughters of American Revolution, the DAR. Whereas in 1955, the Daughters petitioned the Congress to set aside September 17th to the 23rd annually to be dedicated for the observance of Constitution Week, which was later adopted by the United States Congress and signed into public law on August 2nd by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And whereas the aims of the celebration are to emphasize citizens' responsibilities for the protecting and defending of the Constitution, preserving it for posterity, inform the people that the Constitution is the basis for America's great heritage and the foundation of our way of life, and 3, to encourage the study of historical events which led to the framing of the Constitution in September 1787. Whereas the United States of America functions as a republic under the Constitution, which is the oldest document still in active use that outlines the self-government of a people, and whereas today the Constitution stands as an icon of freedom for people around the world. Therefore, I as mayor do hereby proclaim September 17th to the 22nd, 2015 as Constitution Week.
Thank you.
Yes, they're going to try to explain that.
Yes, I would like to make a few comments. One is that the Marion Heritage Center is having a display of all the organizations of Marion, and the DAR has one over there, and it will be there for 6 months, so I hope you would go and see it. And also, it's time that people all realize what is in our Constitution and how valuable it is, because, of course, there are a lot of areas of questionable actions for or against the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we allow citizens to step forward and speak on anything that is not in this evening's agenda. So if you have a petition or a letter or something, you may step forward. And ma'am, step forward to the podium. State your name and address, please.
Matthews, and I live at 770 11th Street. Is that better? Did you get that? Okay. I just want to start by saying it's a privilege to be a part of this community. My husband and I love Marion. We chose to live here. Marion has its own dynamic personality, vitality, and economic, exciting growth and development. And it's because of those ideals why I'm here tonight. I'd like to share an excerpt first from a famous speech by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's called "The Man in the Arena." It's not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. I encourage anyone to Google this famous speech. It discusses the importance of integrity and accountability. I've found the comments on certain social media sites relative to city staff to be disgusting and vile, especially those directed at the city manager. It's apparent to many of us intimately involved in trying to make Marion a better place that there are people in this room who are spreading rumors, misinformation, or simply lying. I'm here to share some real facts that are actually on record at City Hall. Fact. In recent city council meetings, a seated city council member accused the city manager of purchasing property without the approval of city council. She was not only incorrect in her accusations, but actually voted in the affirmative to approve the purchase of said property. I reference resolution number 23982 and 24050. Certain social media groups propagated this lie as if it was the truth. If you are a seated council member, these actions are unacceptable. You are accountable to the community for telling the truth. Please remember what you voted for, why you voted for it, and stand behind your vote. Fact. The city manager's spending authority is $10,000. Anything more than that is voted on by the city council, yet lawn has become the center of attention regarding spending. The council makes the decision to purchase property, enter into contracts, and make budget decisions for the city and the community, not the city manager. It is appalling the way the staff is being ridiculed without leadership from city council or the community to step up and defend him. Fact. The airport. It was a budget decision voted on by city council, yet the decision and any blame people place has been laid at the feet of the city manager. The council approved the airport purchase. This can be found in another recorded resolution. If citizens are not happy with the airport purchase, contact your representative council person in your ward or anyone at large that's a candidate and discuss your concerns with them, as they are the body that made the purchase decision. Fact. The Marion Library Project. There is no conclusive design, which there means there is no conclusive budget. There have been meetings over extensive time periods, and there will be many more opportunities for citizens to engage in conversation about the future of the Marion Public Library. The library actually has a smart, articulate, well-educated board of directors who have guided the project to this point. No decisions up to this point have been made lightly, and all possible scenarios have been considered. I challenge the citizens of Marion to take responsibility and attend the meetings to inform them and personally address issues that they have concerns with. Fact. Every time I turn around, the amount of debt in the city budget is being attacked. As a matter of fact, is attacked at every council meeting by seated members of council, an obvious posse. It is presented inside of a vacuum by a small faction with no relative information supporting why we have this debt. The city debt happens to be $56.5 million, according to a public resource, debtreportingiowa.com. On this website, you can see cross comparisons of other communities we compare ourselves to. For example, Marion has a debt ratio of $1,625 per capita. Ames, $2,749 per capita. Bettendorf, $3,331. On and on. In case anybody's curious, Cedar Rapids, $445,912,000, which is $3,530 per capita. I personally think our debt ratio is in pretty good shape. I happen to be proud of the awesome projects that are taking place, school districts this debt servicing is affording us, our children and our grandchildren for generations to come. Keep in mind, all of this voted for by council. When you condemn our community and its chosen democratic government as a whole, It seems ignorant and crude, to say the least. When you condemn an individual man, it's actually against the law. It's called bullying and harassment. It's what we have going on right now by grown-ups right under our noses. We teach our children not to bully. We do not tolerate it in our churches, homes, neighborhoods. Schools have specific policy, but yet here it is. It's shameful, and it makes a mockery of everything we've built here. Those involved truly are creating untold damage to their own character and self-respect. I'm sure when I leave this meeting tonight, I'll have a few small spineless people who'll get busy and maybe bully and harass me. Bring it on. I will not stand down. Right now, I charge everyone in this room who has zero tolerance for bullying and harassment to please stand up. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to make any kind of comment to this evening? Ma'am, the front row? Yes, ma'am. Right ahead. I think we better limit, if you have a long one, let's keep it down to 3 minutes, please.
Susan Kling, 2790 Brandon Court. I'm here tonight representing the Library Board of Trustees, and I have 3 quick items to mention just as an update. At a special board meeting last Wednesday, August 26th, the Library Board decided to put the library issue to a vote in a special election next March or May. I think you all know that, but we just wanted to make sure. Second, we've been getting some good information about the library project in the Marion Times and the Cedar Rapids Gazette. On this past Tuesday, a letter written by John Clements, the president of the library board, was published in the Gazette correcting the inaccuracies that a previous guest editorial made regarding the addition of a second floor to the library and the electrical system. And third, the first of 3 public design charrettes was held last night at the library. There's 2 more. We're inviting you all to attend, and they're on September 30th and October 29th, and we will be reminding you about those at future meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, anyone else? Sir.
Hi, my name's Larry Sankey, 1580 3rd Avenue. As usual, I walk a lot around this town, and as I was at Hanna Park, I noticed these dump trucks coming in and out. So I thought I'd walk back and see what's going on. Well, here we got a dump brewing back there with all this cement, dead trees back there, logs laying there, asphalt, rock. How come we're not recycling this like Cedar Rapids would? Instead, we have this dump brewing. We're going to have to pay to have it cleaned up. And second, this debt that we have, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. Who's going to pay for this debt? Our kids? We going to pass it down? Just like the President of the United States, the deficit of the United States? All anyone's saying is our kids going to pay it? Who's going to pay this? $5.75 million a year, the last 8 years, we have gone in debt. I think it's time to stop. I say we stop spending this money until we get this debt paid off. There's no reason for all the new people that's moving in this town, all the taxes that's collected, all the lost money that's collected, but yet we're still going in debt. We need to control it. Thank you.
Public Service is going to address those questions.
Okay, in
Yes,
regards
sir.
to Hanna Park, that dump site, everything that enters that site is recycled. All the concrete, all the asphalt is recycled. We're not burying it, we're separating the dirt.
Sir,
I'd be happy to discuss with the citizens.
very well,
if you'd like.
yeah. He'll take you on the sidebar, and we can discuss this, sir. John?
John Nealon, 1390 48th Street. Your Honor, members of the council, members of the staff, I'd like to commend the lady for bringing some facts forward, and she's absolutely correct on all of them. However, there's one thing I believe that she's not accurate on, and that is that the citizens of Marion are not well informed. The idea that you have that the staff will hold a meeting The library board will hold a meeting. Sometimes the word just doesn't get out. The people in the city are not getting the information. Today, for instance, when they come out in the paper that you're going to spend $19,000 on Fitbits for members of the staff, plus a $100 bonus, I would think that possibly an incentive where someone had to buy into the program, where they would then, once they bought into the program, then they would be continuing to use it. That's the first thing. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that I know that the city council voted last time on the first reading that you would do a roundabout at 35th and 29th. I contend that there's an opportunity now, before April of next year, when that roundabout is scheduled to go in, to try, in fact, do a four-way stop for that intersection, to find out what it's like. Right now, school is in session. Traffic is high first thing in the morning, high first thing or late in the afternoon. And now would be the opportunity to go ahead and do that project now. Get it out there. Find out if there's anything to the fact in reference to accidents or hazards. And the weather's good. It's not a problem. You don't do it in January. You do it now when they have an opportunity to make a decision. And I believe that the city council can direct the city manager to have his staff take care of that without a lot of problems. Since he has $10,000 leeway to use funds, I'm sure it wouldn't take $10,000 to put in 2 stop signs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Priscilla Steele, and I live at 1064 7th Avenue here in Marion. I've been a resident and business owner here in the Uptown area for the last 24 years. My husband and I are both really excited about the progressive changes that are proposed for Uptown Marion. And in thinking about this and in reading about it in the Gazette, I thought that it would be enlightening if once again the rationale regarding the mixed-use agenda for the library might be presented in a really balanced fashion, as it only can be right at this point, I think, by Lon Pluckham, if that's possible. I don't know whether that's appropriate at this time, but I've found that getting the information from the leader of our city is extremely helpful, and learning about the rationale behind the mixed-use plan for the library would be most helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
Conrad Ramsey, 2835 26th Avenue, Marion, Iowa. I am also a business owner in Marion. I've been a business owner for the last 4.5 years. And what I realize in Marion, and why I've been living in Marion for 28, 29 years, I still work at Rockwell Collins, and what I realize about Marion is the fact that Marion is a growing community. And if you can't see that, you're blind, because every time you drive to the west, or to the east, to the north, to the south, you see new homes coming up everywhere. This is a very vibrant community that people want to live in. And you see this growth, just tremendous growth. Even when the economic times are down, of the cities in Iowa, Marion is a growing city even through that time. What we don't have is we don't have an uptown district to support that. And people talk about the budget, but guess what? The more business you bring into Marion, the more taxes you receive, and the better you're going to have a chance to get this cost under control. You don't realize how much revenue, every time we get people from Cedar Rapids into Marion, they actually give Marion revenue to grow with. Every time we bring people in, and our problem is we've got a tremendous amount of people that have moved into the area, but you know what? They drive right past Marion and they don't need to, because Marion has the capability to be a city for them to shop in and to enjoy. And what's going on with the plans that the city council has been moving forward for the last many years, things don't take time. They can't happen overnight, but they've been going the right way. There is statistics about how traffic has increased so immensely through our city because of the fact of the increased residential population that's here, that it's becoming more and more of a hazard to drive through uptown Marion along and the whole project is going to remedy not only that, but allow a larger business district to exist, and that business district will pay the taxes and get the debt that these gentlemen are concerned about under control. You gotta spend money to make money. And if you don't believe that, come visit my store, because we're right now expanding and remodeling, and I'm spending money, and I guarantee you it'll be many years before I get my return, and I'm good with that. You got to think in the future. If you think short term, guess what? You won't succeed. You got to think in the future, and I ask you to think about Marion's future, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sir.
Brent Olson, 6751 Arrow Point Court, Marion. I just wanted to say today that I'm in public service as well, and it can be difficult at times. You have to deal with difficult people. Some people don't want to know the facts. It's easier to throw rocks. I've worked with everybody from Mary Lou Pazur to Paul Draper and everybody in between, and we don't always agree, but we can pick up the phone and talk to each other as professionals, as colleagues, and that's what our system's supposed to be about. We don't always have to agree. I wanted to come tonight to tell you that for the last 6.5 years, we have an invaluable asset in Marion in our city manager. I don't always agree with everything he's done, but I'll tell you what, I would say he's probably the best city manager in the state of Iowa, and that's not a hometown thing. I'm telling you, I've met him. I've dealt with him. This guy, I would take and have as my backup to any of the things that we've had to do in Lynn County with the solid waste agency, with Prospect Meadows, with growing this town. You don't always have to agree with it, but I'll tell you what, any community would be lucky to have him. I've worked with him, and I think he's an invaluable asset, and I hope that the citizens who throw rocks, come with some facts. And I totally disagree with the comment that the Marion citizens aren't well informed. They are well informed. You just don't like what they're informed about. They are a progressive bunch here that want to make this community grow and make it better. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gary Lang. I'm at 1180 Indian Creek Road. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, it's a little bit further in your agenda, the sidewalk issue. I currently own lot 23 on Indian Creek Road, First Edition. This lot sits between my house. Is this not the right time?
It's on the agenda. But it is on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. We are going to address this.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
You want me to talk later then?
We'd like to hear about it later. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's fine. I didn't know.
We're really not sure how many people aren't here tonight. We seem to have everybody. So, but we will allow discussion. Okay. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Anything? Ready? Okay. So I'm just going to make a couple comments, and I'm really proud. Now, I don't know what type of a legacy I'm going to have here. I'm kind of what they call me, a lame duck. Here, I've only got a couple months to go. But I think one of the things that I'm very, very proud about is the fact that we do have, and I have allowed this open discussion, and I break a lot of rules. I just broke one when he started speaking, and he'll speak again this evening, and I'll break another rule because we have a democracy, and you people aren't well versed as to how we run our agendas. you're very reluctant to show up and you're very reluctant to speak, but you have something that's very important to say. And we're proud to be able to let you say it, pro or con, as long as we get, we're civil about it, and we have been civil in the past, and hopefully we're going to be civil in the future. So, we do want open discussion. Holy cow! And I think, as far as I'm just very proud that we do have people that are able to come up and speak on our mics, and so therefore, I think we'll go on now and go on to the consent calendar. What's Councilman Edsel?
Motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, with the exception of number 20 for separate consideration, including resolution number 24787 through 24803.
Motion is made and second for the consent calendar to remove and pull number 20. Is that correct? And as read.
Your Honor, I need to have item 28B.
28B. B pulled also.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's on the next one.
That's on the next one, I think, sir.
That's on the exclusion of Nick's.
Yeah, and
That's on part 2.
Oh,
So we'll address that on part 2.
okay.
you're stealing.
Mayor,
my thunder.
item 21 should have been included on the next.
And
agenda.
also number 21 to
Should be moved to the next agenda, to the next item on the agenda.
Next.
number 21 should be read by Councilman Spinks.
Right.
Okay. Can we do that?
I can do
All
that.
right. All right. Alrighty. So the consent calendar is read, and at this time we're pulling number 20. Ready? Any discussion? All those in favor of this first consent calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we'll move along to this 20 at this time. Resolution number 24801, resetting a public hearing for October 8, 2015, which the revised development agreement with Capital Commercial. Did you want that pulled?
What's this all about?
No, go ahead and introduce that and second it. Mr. Stefani is here. He was not able to attend on Tuesday, but he wanted a chance to update the council on the project.
fine.
And
Okay.
There's nothing in the agenda later on where he could have done that.
All right, so,
So I need to second that then?
second this? All right, fine.
Second.
My motion is made in second for resolution 24801, and we have discussion at this time. Sir?
Mayor, did you catch who made the motion on that? I didn't.
I don't
Joe
think
was the
anybody made
second.
the motion.
I just read it, I'm sorry.
The mayor actually made the motion.
Can the mayor make a motion?
No, Spinks made it.
Oh, okay, I made it. Seconded. Speak.
Yes, sir. Steve Stefani, 4361 Fox Meadow Drive Southeast. And I apologize I wasn't able to be here on Tuesday, and thank you for taking me out of order this evening. The update, as far as the progress of the building, you can see the roof trusses are being installed at this time, and you will see, hopefully within the next 8 days, a certain Marion company that's going to be sawing the concrete out, and we're going to be removing the thin set, or the thin, albeit beautiful stone, and so we're going to be going back to the original plan, setting the full-size stone and brick on the brick ledge. After the brick ledge is exposed and the brick and stone are set, then the concrete then will be reestablished between that, and it actually will create that will actually help us with heaving issues, because then we'll have this, there's a term of art for the type of insulation that goes between those cracks, and I'm sorry, I just can't remember that at this time. But the roof trusses are going up at this time. The roof membrane should be completed hopefully next week. And I believe that addresses our concern. I was grateful for the time that Tom Treharn and Lon Plecon and Gary Hansen spent as we met several times. And I thought it was very, very helpful. It was very professional. I mean, we just all, we're working for the same goal. So that's ultimately the situation as it exists right now.
Good, thank you.
Thank you for taking those extra steps and doing it correctly, and I think in the end, you'll be better off, and the citizens of Marion will be happier with it and better off, so.
Yes.
And uptown and, just overall, I think it's the right thing to do. So I appreciate your going back and taking those extra steps.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 24801 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we move to the second set now. Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve the consent calendar with Councilmember Abalosly abstention, including Resolution 24802 through 24810, and items 28A through 33, excluding item 28B.
Second. And 21.
And 21, I'm sorry, and 21. Well, 21 was the first one I read.
That was on the last one.
Oh, I got it.
So it's included in.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right. So we have we have a second on this?
Second.
There it is. Okay. Discussion on this item. So we will improve the second, except for 28B, and 21 is included in this also, correct? So all but 28B.
Right.
That's right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? At this time now we do.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve item 28B on the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion is made and second to approve the liquor license application, renewal application, Class C, for Omega in the VIP Lounge. Do we have any discussion?
I find myself in conflict of interest and will not be voting on, not because I'm a regular customer, but I have another reason.
Very well.
That may be true, too. Yes.
Okay, good. All right. All those in favor of 28B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And moving on to a public hearing. I shall open a public hearing regarding the master lease and pole attachment agreement between the City of Marion and Verizon Wireless. And may we have a discussion? Yes, sir, please. This is something we talked about on Tuesday, and it might be enlightening for all of you.
For the past, I would say at least a year, past year, the City of Marion has been in discussions with Verizon Wireless regarding a project in which they call a small cell architecture project. Typically, the cellular companies, they utilize these big macro towers, these big cellular towers. Now the cellular companies are going to what they call small cell architecture. And by doing this, the objective of the company is to place these small cellular antennas throughout dense suburban or urban areas, which will allow for better signal coverage and increase the service within specific areas. Typically, these antennas, that you can see on the left side, are installed on either utility poles or streetlight poles. And either the cellular companies move towards making agreements with the utility companies and or the municipalities to provide for the lease agreements to attach to the poles. When the project gets up and running, all of these small antennas are interconnected via fiber optics, and then they provide the appropriate coverage in the area to allow for better cellular coverage. We have been in discussion with Verizon's about placing these on city street lights, and this what it looks like. I believe this is a typical taken out of Des Moines, but that's what it looks like. The antenna, the small circular antenna, is placed on the street light. In this case, what we are proposing is using these black commercial lights to place these antennas on, and then the antennas themselves will also be black. So it'll provide some aesthetic improvements in placing these antennas. And so what is, go ahead, Joe, if you have a
Why don't you point out to the audience where the cell site is on that pole?
Sure. On this typical, the cell site is right here.
Yeah.
That's the cellular antenna.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
and we're working currently to make it more aesthetic even, to where that cylinder could be mounted on the pole, so it's even more camouflaged. And so you've probably seen these black poles around town, and so we're working with them to mount these on the black poles, and so that way we can control some aesthetics, also control where they're gonna go. There's obviously some places within the city we don't want these, specifically in uptown districts, any of the redevelopment districts where we have more of a decorative element involved. What's being considered by the council tonight is the master lease agreement. It's a 15-year term with the city of Marion, and what we've agreed to is that by the conditions of the lease agreement, Verizon will compensate the city $300 per month per location to install these antennas. These will be on city-owned street lights. So that's the gist of it. If there's any questions, be happy to answer them. I will say that the individual locations will be approved at the next council meeting. Right now, we're just approving the master contract. When we get down to the individual locations, we'll have the detailed drawings about where they're going to go. But for the most part, they'll be off the main corridor.
What is the potential number of locations?
This year, they're programming 9. The potential is going to obviously relate to the use within the area, and then the company will obviously make that decision.
Is there any negative to the city to do this? I mean,
I guess, in my opinion, approaching it this way, we get to control where they're going to go. If we don't do that, then they have the ability to mount these anywhere where there's a utility pole. And by doing this, we feel it's a good cooperative effort to kind of control where they're going to go, control the style of them, as well as, obviously it'll be a revenue source.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
So at this time, I'd allow anyone who would be opposed or have a negative comment of this particular program may step forward to the podium and state their opinion. Please raise your hand. I see no hands. Is there anyone in the audience who would raise their hand and be in support of this particular project? You may step forward. None noted. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Crawford.
Yes, this is resolution number 24811, approving the master lease and pole attachment agreement between the City of Marion and Verizon Wireless.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24811. Discussion? None noted. All those in favor of resolution 24811 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Nick.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 15-20, amending Chapter 99 of the Code of Ordinances and establishing domestic user charges for all users less than 60,000 gallons per month, increasing monthly sanitary sewer user charges from $1.95 to $2.30, and reducing monthly service fees to $8. This is the second consideration of this ordinance.
Second.
Motion is made and second for ordinance number 1520. Discussion? And we are doing this because, sir?
I'd be happy to go over that
Yes, sir.
as well. So, right now,
I assure you this will be enlightening. Go ahead, sir.
yeah, be happy to. So, City of Marion, we send all of our sanitary sewer down to the city of Cedar Rapids. And what this is, and I'll try to blow that up for everybody, is that since 2008, these are our monthly fees that we pay to the city of Cedar Rapids. That's our wastewater treatment fees. And as you can see, back in July of 2008, we paid a little over $96,000 per month. This July, that went up to $217,252 per month. So obviously, we need to compensate for the fees adjustment associated with the treatment fees that are given to us by the city of Cedar Rapids. We are in the process of finalizing our new treatment agreement with the city of Cedar Rapids, which will be flow-based, and you'll see some cost savings with that. Okay. In terms of what's being proposed for the sewer charges, I'll kind of go over where it's at right now. And on your bill, that's what you see, is that we have a $9 service charge, $2 sewer replacement fee, and you pay $1.95 per 100 cubic feet that you use. That's 748 gallons. That $9 service charge, the way that's programmed is that's per water meter. Okay. And so no matter what, you're going to pay that $9 connection fee per month on what you use. The sewer replacement fee, that $2, that goes in the sewer replacement fund. That's utilized for projects such as trunk sewer replacements, things of that nature. That's kind of the replacement fund for the sanitary sewer. And then you have the domestic user charge, that's your flow-based charges. And so what we're proposing to do is take that service fee and back it down to $8. So rather than having that $9 charge, we're going to back it down to $8. And what we'd like to do is increase it, the domestic use fee, that's per 100 cubic feet, raise that to $2.30. And the reason why we want to do that is because we do have some disparities in the sanitary sewer rates, specifically between multifamily and single family. Right now, as you can see, I'll back this out a little bit more. The individual that lives in a single family residence pays a lot higher sanitary sewer rate than the multifamily residence. The reason why is because in the multifamily residence, they only have one water meter. Okay, and so this is more of a flow-based adjustment based on the actual usage that you consume as a resident. Okay, and so we are proposing that the $2.30 domestic use fee, and we'll back down the $8 down to $8 for the water meter fee. So, in comparison to other cities, that's where we rate. Pretty competitive. Marion is relatively low compared to Ames, Iowa City. City of Cedar Rapids, obviously, they have more utilities in place, so they have the ability to lower that fee more than we do. So that's what's being proposed. So if there's any questions, I can answer them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Or ordinance number 15-20. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Draper.
Your Honor, I move to suspend the rules and place ordinance 1520 for final consideration.
Second.
Motion is made and second for ordinance 15-20 for final consideration. You get a second? I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, there was a second. Okay. For the suspend the rules for ordinance 15-20. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Councilman Draper.
Yes, Your Honor, under Police and Fire, ordinance 1521, amending the Chapter 130, the Code of Ordinance relating to pawnbrokers and dealers and used articles, items purchased or taken on trade, and providing penalties. Second consideration.
Second.
Motion is made and second for ordinance number 15-21. Discussion? Those in favor of ordinance 15-21 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Pazor.
Your Honor, I move to suspend the rules on ordinance 1521 and place for final consideration.
Second.
Motion is made and second to suspend the rules for final consideration for ordinance number 15-21. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Pazor now, please.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, I move to approve resolution 24,812 approving the establishment of a no parking zone on the south side of 2nd Avenue from 27th Street to 31st Street.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24812. Discussion?
Yeah.
Engineering?
I assume you want me to speak on this. Last council meeting, or maybe it was two council meetings. Go ahead.
Have you got a
mic?
No, yeah. Okay.
Not close enough? Sorry. I believe the city council asked this to be put on the agenda for the no parking from 27th Street to 31st Street on 2nd Avenue after no parking was added from School Street to 27th Street. The TAC committee has reviewed the request, and city council in the past has showed support for the establishment of the no parking, so the TAC finds some benefit for the request. I'm going to let individual departments speak for themselves on this item, but I did get many calls and emails on this, so I was going to go through that. They were mostly addressed to myself, so not to the city council. So I did get an email from Nancy Easley at 2765 2nd Avenue with her husband Ray speaking out against this. I also got a call for William and Sandra Chandler at 2940 2nd Avenue, totally against it. Katie Hayes, 2845 Second Avenue against it. Andy Neal, 3020 Second Avenue against it. Laura Wheat of 3025 Second Avenue against the no parking. And then a little disclosure here, my mom lives on this street. She is against this. She lives at 2925 Second Avenue, Colleen Jungie. And some of them may be in the audience tonight, so I'll let the other departments speak for themselves on this matter as far as TAC goes.
Yeah, I can't. Obviously, public service, we perform snow removal and solid waste services. I did talk to the solid waste driver that collects in this area. He has not really had any issues in regards to cars parking on either side of the street. He has been able to get through. Obviously, during the snow season, we have our opinions since we are snowplow drivers. But there has been no direct issues in relation to solid waste collection along this street.
And with the fire department, we've had no direct issues concerning our emergency response on that street. But of course, we always like the streets as wide as possible. So when it's parking on one side, of course, we're always for it. But I understand the council's predicament with so many people against it. But from our standpoint, we have had no issues on that street.
Thank you. Discussion?
Who was in favor of it?
Well, I was going to ask, how did this even come about, this proposal?
Well, this came about because I got a phone call from a resident on that because of during school hours, if there's a program or before school or when it lets out, people parking to pick up their children, and they have difficulty getting through the residents that live there. And it just seems, for some reason, I don't know if it's a magnet thing or what, but if you have a car parked on one side of the street, inevitably there has to be a car parked exactly opposite on the other side of the street, and people can't get through. And that was the way it was explained.
Very well. Any other discussion?
Well, has anybody actually observed that problem or issue, or are we just basing it on one person, one phone call?
Well, the residents seem to be.
I know there's a number here in the audience if you'd like them to speak on this matter.
Who are for it, or?
I don't think any of them are for it, but you'd have to ask.
I mean, I wish there were, I wish there were residents of that street who are for it, so that we could hear what the
Is there
problem
anyone in the audience that is for this no parking? I'll just show it now. Is there anyone? You have to be truthful now. Is there anyone against this parking? And are you really truthful people on 27th or whatever? Okay. All right, fine.
Just to explain, Mayor, as a
Go
general,
ahead, sir.
As a general rule, the staff is supportive of parking on one side of the street in almost all circumstances, just to make sure, as Chief Crable said, that we do have access down through those areas at all times of the day. But that's just a philosophical issue. That's why in all new subdivisions, anything that's being brought online, we do have parking only on one side of the street. We make a selection based on where the driveways are and where it makes sense to prohibit parking for all the new stuff. When opportunities or questions arise, or someone has concerns about congestion in existing neighborhoods, we do review those on a case-by-case basis.
Very well. Well, maybe we should allow parking on the grass then. We'll do that.
And I will,
Go ahead.
Just a couple comments. I'll play the devil's advocate, because one thing that has been a struggle for me on this council for the last 4 years is we have, as Lon was saying, a philosophy of having parking on one side of the street whenever possible. Whenever a citizen comes to us, we bring it forward. If there are any issues whatsoever, then we have said as a council that we want to move to one side of the street. But we have not been very good with that. What I have seen from the council is if no one comes up and talks, then it passes. If we get a couple people here, all of a sudden we back down from what we have said that we want as a city. And I don't think that is our job. I completely respect the opinion because I have parking on both sides of my street. I like it. So I understand that, and I appreciate people coming in. But at the same time, for emergency vehicles, for the snow plows, maybe there hasn't been an issue now, but it is a narrow street. I have personally used that street a lot. I had kids that went to school there. It does get very congested. When it's not school, it's not too bad, but it is a narrow street. So for me, I will continue to stand for what we as a council have said that we want to do, and that's one side of the street.
Anything else?
Probably one of the problems is that the idea of neighborhood schools is no longer there. And so when you have kids being bused from the north side of 7th Avenue to Francis Marion, the old Washington School, which is on the south side, these are third and fourth graders, I believe. And parents, contrary to letting their kids ride bikes and walk, pick them up. And that's where the problem lies. And it becomes really congested as far as 3rd Avenue is concerned, and trying to get through with the curbs and all. I go along with Cody. It makes it difficult for a car to get through, and if you need an emergency vehicle or snow plows. And we've been kind of blessed. It's summertime. You forget about the snow.
Anything else? Let's have a roll call.
Mayor.
Did you want to allow public comment, Mary?
I thought we had a show of hands, and I thought that was that's not that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We didn't have anyone here for it. We had people against
I
it.
think she wants to speak.
So we've got a predominance of people against this no parking, and I assume that you are against it. Is that correct?
I am.
There we go.
We had another idea.
Step forward, ma'am.
I'll talk.
All right.
Raymond, do you
If we have a new idea, that's fine.
2765 2nd Avenue. One thing about parking on one side of the street only, since I've retired, during the day when there are no cars parked there, the speed on that street increases. People zoom down that street when nobody's. Yes, you got to slow down to go in between two cars. We've had a lot of young couples move to that street, a lot of young kids. So it really reduces the speed of traffic with parking on both sides. My initial thought was, if it was the bus drivers, then why don't we do it Monday through Friday during school hours, if it's the bus drivers? You know, this is an older neighborhood, excuse me, has a lot of single-lane garages, the majority of homes, so there aren't a lot of options. And if you got the whole block lined up on the north side, what do you gain? That street isn't wide enough to get two cars plus parked cars. So you're going to be in and out of traffic if somebody's coming the other direction. So that's our thoughts.
Was that your thought, ma'am?
Yes.
Oh, very well. Thank you.
We thought about maybe, like from 7 to 5.
Very well. Okay, we can. Do you have any other discussion?
Did
Go ahead.
TAC take a look at this?
You want TAC to take a look whether they recommend 7 to 5?
Is that something that they do? No, the time, no, not the time limit, just this ordinance, or this resolution.
Right, TAC did review it, and that's why we talked about it. Based on past experience, they showed support for the no parking on one side,
Okay.
though there was no complaints or reasons for that, just for consistency's sake.
Mhm.
Very well. Any other?
I mean,
You gotta jump
Go
do
ahead.
you think there is real potential there for an issue to occur? Or, I mean, if we've never had a problem, I mean, Ryan?
No, nothing directly to report. The council could, if the council wanted to, whether you voted up and down, you could direct staff to take a look at other options, but that'll depend on how you voted.
Yeah.
But we haven't had any direct issues with, that
I
staff
understand.
has reported.
So it's just inconvenience of some people who are dropping off their kids or picking them up? That's the issue?
Thank you. I'm Dana Ditzenberger, 2760 2nd Avenue. I
think it's quite clear that most of the residents between 27th and 31st really don't see any need to have parking on one side of the street. I've been a resident there for 30 years. I understand the concerns. I think it's been expressed that none of these concerns have been an issue in the past. I think people need to understand that we are many, many blocks from the school, and actually not even on the same street where this issue is as far as congestion is concerned. I just don't understand why 27th to 31st should even be a consideration, because it doesn't even impact the school at all. I mean, we're talking a block over and 3 blocks down. I've never seen school traffic backed up on my neighborhood ever. So if this was all spawned from that discussion, I'm very confused. I can understand both sides, but I think you've got a neighborhood that clearly doesn't want it, and I hope the council will consider that.
Thank you. You concur with that, ma'am?
I did.
Very well. Concur with it. Thank you. All right, fine. Any other? All right, fine. Let's do this roll call then. Fine.
Ms. Pazur?
Well, as long as it doesn't snow this winter, then I will vote, and the majority seem to want parking on both sides. And if you don't park opposite each other, then I will vote no.
Ms. Etzel?
No.
Mr. Spinks?
No.
Mayor Buska?
No.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Abawasley?
No.
Mr. Draper?
No.
Fails 6-1.
Thank you. Councilman Etzel.
No snow.
Councilman Etzel.
Resolution number 24813, approving Prairie Trail First Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located south of Echo Hill Road and west of Alburnett Road, Midwest Development Company.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24813. Discussion? None noted. Those in favor of Resolution 24813 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I'm abstaining from this vote, and the next one.
Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor. I move to approve Resolution 24814, approving Bowman Woods Unit 36 Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located south of East Robbins Road and west of Brookfield Drive, another Midwest Development Company project.
Second. Motion is made and second for Resolution 24814. Discussion? Those in favor of Resolution 24814 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Crawford.
Yes, this is resolution number 24815, approving the Arbor at Lindale Trail final site development plan for property located north of Blair's Ferry Road and west of Lindale Drive, 1362 Blair's Ferry Road, Full Circle Communities, Inc.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24815. Discussion? None noted. Those in favor of Resolution 24815 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I guess, Tom, was this the one where you talked about the
Yes.
cover?
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, did you ask them about that, or?
Yeah, actually, the developer and the representative from Full Circle is in the audience tonight, as well as the architect, so maybe, and I did note to the architect before the meeting that there were questions specifically to the canopy, so.
Yeah, can I ask after we voted on it? Is that still legal, Lon? Can we still ask questions?
Well, it's just a comment to them, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do them, we do have the representatives in the audience. If you wanted to be able to ask questions, you could actually do it while the item is up for consideration before the vote is taken.
Is that acceptable, Your Honor?
Certainly.
Could
We've already voted, though.
Yeah, well, we voted.
Right.
But,
I was looking at the
go
next
ahead.
one.
You could have an explanation.
I guess what I asked.
What's the question
The
specifically?
question is that we were looking at the renderings of the building and everything, and the parking lot where you would let the residents off, there was no canopy, nothing. I mean, where they would come in under there was no canopy at all.
Sure. So there is no canopy.
Ma'am,
There is,
ma'am.
it's a double.
May I have your name and
Oh,
address?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I should have,
Lindsay Haynes from Full Circle Communities.
I
And the
made you
address,
jump in
please.
before the.
Of the project?
No, your address.
Oh, 1532 North Paulina, Chicago, Illinois. I don't know if it matters. Okay, that's okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So there is no overhang. However, there is the first entrance into the building is not, it's not a secured entrance. You can come into the foyer. Then there's the secured entrance with the intercom system. So yes, it would be really nice to have a canopy. I will say that on the list of amenities that we're including in this project, we have to pick and choose. So I think one of the really great things that we're doing is doing security cameras that cover the entire site. We're doing a landscaped kind of island in the middle of the parking lot. We've pulled the handicap spaces up to be directly in front of the building. That was a revision to the site plan. And we're providing a walking path in the back of the property as well as some really nice landscape retaining walls. So, unfortunately, there's just a limit on the amenities that we can provide. And those are just some other things that we're doing that unfortunately make the covering fall far down on the list.
Yeah, I guess you've got this big, huge building with this little teeny entrance there, and it just looked out of place, too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, aesthetically, I mean, first of all, we thank you for your interest in doing the project here. I mean, we're very happy that you're here. But yeah, aesthetically, I thought too, when I looked at it's just opinion too, But when I looked at the drawing, it just looked like that entrance was so small compared to the size of the building. It did look kind of a little odd, but yeah.
But I was thinking more of, a place to let them off out of the weather, because
Sure, I see what you're saying.
you live in the Midwest, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what it'll do here.
Right.
And so...
So I think it's about 15 feet from where, we do have the circle drive around the parking lot. So it's maybe about 15 feet from the point where you drop someone off to get to the door. And so, to have a roof would be nice, but unfortunately, that's not in the project design.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Councilman Nick,
My turn.
number 4.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24816, approving Country Club Estates 10th Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located west of Irish Drive on both sides of Bent Creek Drive and West Williams Drive.
Second.
Motion is made in second for resolution 24816. Discussion.
Is there going to be parking on both sides?
All those in favor of resolution 24816 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? At this time, I shall open a public hearing regarding Country Club Estates 12th Edition Preliminary Site Development Plan for property previously known as lots 7-12 or 7 through 12 of Country Club Estates 7th Edition along Bent Creek Drive. Could we have a little discussion?
I know the council's been briefed on this issue, and I think just for a quick synopsis, there's a number of items on the agenda. I think this item and the next 2 or 3 are actually related to this project, and the zoning provides requires the opportunity that the developer has to show a site development plan, both preliminary and final, and then moving forward to develop the property, there's a final plat also in the agenda. So I'll just address, those are the 3 items, but I'll just address the development in one staff report, if that helps. The property location is here. It's Alburnett Road comes up, Bent Creek continues over, and then it runs, eventually it'll run into Irish Drive. So the property location is identified here on the south side of the street. Currently, the property is able to be developed with duplex units, standard condo 2-unit garages facing the front part of the street. The developer is requested to come in and amend that site plan to go from the duplexes to single-family development. So he's going to be combining lots where there could have been I believe 9 units or 6 units. He's combining it and providing for 3 single-family units. So the development will really extend and go from this proposal where you have your units in a row to a situation where you have single-family homes in this manner. So you're going to have 3 units. So it's, I think it's a pretty good development plan. It's making use of the property, and the developer is really proposing this to because the market seems to be moving towards single-family in the area. And I believe as we move east along the road, you're going to see single-family come together. So it's a great buffer between what is currently multifamily and will be single-family. So.
You think he's going to go single-family all the way to Irish then eventually?
Correct, yep. It's actually on the final plat's actually on the agenda.
Good.
Just approved.
All of them east of here are single-family homes.
Yeah.
Everything east of what he's showing here, all the way to Irish, is single-family homes.
Single-family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. At this time, is there anyone who would be opposed to this particular preliminary site development plan in the audience? Raise your hand, be called upon. None noted. Anyone in support of this particular plan may be called upon. None noted. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Draper.
Yes, Your Honor. Resolution 24,817, approving Country Club Estates 12th Edition preliminary site development plan for property previously known as lots 7 through 12 of Country Club Estates 7th Edition along Bent Creek Drive, Jerry's Homes Incorporated.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24817. Discussion.
Tom, I know you had a rendering of the homes. Will they break up the homes in different color schemes, roof lines, or will they be cookie cuttered?
The developer is in the audience, and maybe he can address that issue. But as proposed, they'd be the similar format that they're identified as.
I guess I would like to ask that.
Yeah, you may step forward, sir. You have to come to the microphone, unfortunately, and disclose your address.
San Francisco. Minneapolis.
If you want my home address, it's 305 5th Street East, Newhall.
Newhall, there we go. Good.
So, we've got 3 footprints.
Sir, we need your name too.
Drew Retz. Sorry.
Thank you.
We'll be proposing to put in 3 plans that have the same footprint, but yes, we would modify the elevations and colors and those kind of things so that we wouldn't have somebody getting confused when they came home from the place that you approved the liquor license for and pulling the wrong home. So.
Yeah, so these aren't in crawl distance from the liquor store, right?
Thank you.
But anyway, that was one of the things that in other neighborhoods that we had kind of been sensitive to, is where if the homes are on the same footprint, that you break them up.
If you've noticed what we did in the multifamily to the west, we didn't put any 2 buildings next to each other. In the multifamily, it was the same color either. We varied the colors, even though when you're in multifamily, you don't get a lot of choices in elevations. In this case, we'll modify some of the elevations and break them up too.
Now, do you own the rest of the lots on past this one, or?
No, this is the end of what we owned, and if the condo market was a little more, or I should say multifamily market was a little more agreeable in that area, we wouldn't be here today. So,
right.
But it makes a perfect transition between the existing and what's gone on forward to get the property used up and on your tax rolls.
Okay.
To help pay that debt you've got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very well. Anyone else in support of this particular program? None noted? Oh.
No, we're on the.
Wait.
We're on the voting part now.
Oh yeah. Oh, good. We have a vote. We had a second too, right?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 24817 signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Councilman Pizzor.
Okay, Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 24,818, approving Country Club Estates 12th Edition final site development plan for property previously known as lots 7 to 12 of Country Club Estates 7th Edition along Bent Creek Drive from Jerry's Homes Incorporated.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24818. Discussion. All those in favor of Resolution 24818 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Etzel.
Resolution number 24819, approving Country Club Estates 12th Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property previously known as Lots 7 through 12 of Country Club Estates 7th Edition along Bent Creek Drive, Jerry's Homes Incorporated.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for Resolution 24819. Discussion. Those in favor of Resolution 24819 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a motion to receive and file a request to waive subdivision ordinance requirements to allow the issuance of 5 building permits within Gemstone Estates 2nd Edition and Morris Wood Enterprise LLC project.
Motion is made and second. Motion to receive and file a request to waive the subdivision ordinance. Discussion? Those,
What are we waiving on this? I don't remember. Did we talk? We didn't talk about this Tuesday, did we?
Yeah.
We did? Well, that must have been my snooze.
So on Tuesday, I wanted to go back to staff and get a couple more opinions on what was being proposed.
Oh, yeah.
If you recall, yeah. And so I've done that. The property that I'm talking about is west of Lucor Road, northwest of Tower Terrace. So Tower Terrace, Lucor, this is roundabout with Cornhenge in it. The area here is final platted, so there's street improvements in this area. The proposed permits prior to final plat are identified, circled. There are no street improvements in this vicinity. So why that raised an eyebrow for me is that as these projects are being developed, that gets to be kind of a difficult issue. Now, the developer has come to us and identified that he'll have everything surveyed, so all corner points of the buildings will be surveyed in. It's his responsibility if they're not in the right spot, and he understands that. The other issue, and the reason that it caught my eye, was that I know that if there's an emergency situation, there's no access to the properties, and that's always been traditionally a concern. A part of this resolution will be the identification that we will not have the appropriate time to respond to these areas for emergencies, and that's documented in the resolution, so they understand that going in. The permit, or what they're requesting, though, is for permit or foundations and footings only. Is that correct, Dave?
On the Circle Drive, they want to do footings only at this time. Then on the east-west street, Gemstone, they're going to probably start the full building, but that street part is in.
Okay, and that part's in. Okay, so they'll have access on that north side. So it's kind of a mix. This happens every fall. What's going on is there's a lot of work going out there to get footings and foundations in, so the work can continue through the winter. We like to work with the developers as long as they understand the risk that they're providing, and it's signed off on through the resolutions, and staff is able to review it and understand the situation as well. So we are supportive of the proposal. It's also been identified that the final plat for this will be coming forward in the next city council meeting, which generally means there'll be a lot more work done. And I don't know if that means, are they going to do the improvements prior to final plat, or are they going to?
They won't get them all done, but they'll likely have the street poured within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so they'll have a major portion of those public improvements in. So they're just trying to get ahead of the game to keep their workers busy through the winter. So, any questions on? We do support the request as presented.
Just a general question about that you talked about basements going in for the winter build. Do you have a number of how many are going in this fall?
You know, it's funny that you asked that. I was just calculating on this agenda, just tonight, we approved 47 lots. That doesn't include these condo units, which is a mix of 2s and 3s. So, you know, if there's that's 10 to 12 more units. So 47 units, and then if you count the senior housing project, that was 70 units. If you look at like average populations, you're looking at just tonight's agenda would provide the opportunity for housing for over 200 people. So when we talk about the growth that we're experiencing, that's one agenda, is providing the opportunity for a growth of over 200 people. And I didn't even add it. I just took 2 people per household. It's usually about I think we're 2.4 something right now, I think. So, so you can see there's a lot of stuff happening. So
I had a .4 child. But Ollie was good for it, no.
Is there any questions on that? I hope I clarified that issue.
Very well. Thank you, Tom. That's what I wanted the people to hear. That
Yeah. Yep.
To receive and file this request, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Crawford.
Yes, this is resolution number 24820, approving waiver of the subdivision requirements to allow the issuance of 5 additional building permits prior to approval of Gemstone Estates Second Edition Final Plat. This is Morris Wood Enterprises, LLC.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24820. Discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstention.
Councilman Draper.
Yes, Your Honor, resolution number 24821, approving deferral of sidewalk insulation for property located at 2070 Timber Oak Court, Lot 55, Bowman Ridge Estates, 3rd Edition, Midwest Development Company request.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24821. Discussion.
Your Honor.
Sir.
The next several items until you're done with the planning department are all related to the sidewalk program. And I just thought if I could say a couple words just so people kind of understand what's going on with these resolutions. If you'll recall, about a year ago, city staff brought a concern to the council identifying a lot of gaps in neighborhoods that have been built out for quite some time in sidewalk connectivity. After the presentation, council did direct the staff to proceed and kind of bring to the council those lots within neighborhoods that have been sitting for quite some time, or areas where we've received comments, questions, or concerns regarding why a gap exists. That's what this evening is all about. These are the ones, these are lots within neighborhoods that have been built out where the property's been platted between 15 and 20 years and no development has occurred, or there's been a significant amount of calls or requests for completion of that sidewalk in certain neighborhoods. So there's a number of resolutions. I know there's several folks in the audience that probably want to address the council with regard to these issues. And so I just wanted to give a little brief update to the council and kind of just let you know where all this is coming from. I know I've indicated it on Tuesday, but I'll also just provide a little background for those in the audience that may be here. So are there any questions on that?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Fine. So we have this resolution 24821. We have a second, correct? Discussion. So for this resolution located at 2070 Timber Oak Court, do we have anyone in the audience related to this particular address? None?
What's staff on that?
Let me go ahead, Tom. Yeah, this one was the Skogman, Midwest Development Skogman, and we were recommending deferral of this first resolution. And I can throw them on the overhead if you'd like as well. So,
Dave, can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
I can throw these on the overhead if you'd like to see an arrow.
No, do you recommend?
We are recommending deferral of this one. We're
Deferral.
supporting the deferral request.
All right. So
this is a new development, though, right?
No, this one is between 15 and 20 years old. This was actually approved in 1998. It's a single cul-de-sac lot. Unfortunately, outside the cul-de-sac, there's no other connections to any other sidewalks in the immediate area. So we're supportive of the deferral until we can get a sidewalk plan for probably the next year or two, depending on whether connections are made.
any other discussion? For resolution 24821, all those in favor of approving the deferral signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstention.
One abstention here. Pazor?
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 24,822, approving deferral of sidewalk installation for properties located at 3041 through 3093 and 3060 through 3098 Duckhorn Cove, lots 19 through 26 and 35 through 38, Hunters Ridge Golf Club, 6th Edition, from the Midwest Development Company.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for Resolution 24822, approving a deferral. Discussion?
Dave, can we see visuals of these?
I'm sorry?
We see a visual of this one.
Again, this is Midwest Development, which is Skogman.
Visual on it. Do you have
Oh,
a
visual. I'm sorry. I said individual. This is the Duckhorn Cove, just up in Hunter's Ridge off Lucor Road. That's running north-south. The red line, well, the whole cul-de-sac doesn't have any sidewalks in it all the way down to Lucor. The red lines are the sidewalks that are part of this resolution. We are supportive of the deferral again on this one. Low traffic cul-de-sac to Lucor. On the next resolution item, we are requesting sidewalk installation on Lucor north-south right in this area to provide that connection so those folks can get off Lucor Road, which I think is classified as a minor or major arterial, so it does carry some traffic.
Thank you.
For resolution, do you have any other discussion? For resolution 24822, approving of deferral of sidewalk installation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstention.
And Councilman Etzel.
Resolution number 24823, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalk along the east side of property located at 5690 and 5700 Lucor Road, lots 17 and 18, Hunters Ridge Golf Club, 6th edition, deferring sidewalk installation along the north side of lot 18, Midwest Development Company.
Second.
Motion is made in second for resolution 24823. Go ahead.
Again, same neighborhood. This time, the blue line represents the area we're supportive of the deferral on. The red line is where we are seeking the installation of sidewalk, again, along Lucor. It'll connect into the condos to the south and single-family homes further down. There's still another gap all the way down kind of the south end of Lucor right before you go into Hunter's Ridge. That'll be in the next cycle where we'll try to get that sidewalk put in. Then you'll have a nice loop beginning through Hunter's Ridge. And this was, again, Midwest Development. I talked to Kyle a few times about it. He was looking for deferral on all of them, but I think he felt pretty comfortable with this kind of meet-in-the-middle approach to the sidewalks on Duckhorn Cove.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion for resolution 24823? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Abstention.
Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor. I move to approve Resolution 24824, approving a resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalks located at 4110 McGowan Boulevard, Lot 127, Windermere Heights, 6th edition, a Dyer Family LLC request.
Second.
Motion is made in second for resolution 24824. Discussion? Go ahead.
Just the map up here again. These are the two lots owned by Jim Dyer, and he is in attendance tonight. I think he would like to speak briefly as well. Again, the red lines are showing the sidewalk locations that we'd like to see the installation on. Mr. Dyer has submitted a request to defer. I think that was in the initial council packet. He would like to defer these two sidewalks, but he would be willing to install the sidewalk along I think that's Monarch, north-south there. So he'd like to request a deferral of those, or the installation of this one, deferral of those two. With our resolution, we are not seeking installation until June 1st, 2016, because I got too late into the season to get contractors out there on some of these folks. So they do have until, if it is approved or is required to install, he does have until almost all of next year to get it installed. Or if he pulls a building permit on either of those two lots, then obviously the sidewalk would get installed with that. So,
is this the one where you told us there's obvious paths?
This one does have obvious paths of use on the McGowan side.
So the department's recommendation is to.
Our recommendation on all the following ones are to install, but again, it's not requiring it until June of 2016.
Maybe when you do these types of, when you phrase these types of resolutions, you should say requiring rather than regarding, so that we know what you're.
This is our first one.
And then maybe say, or maybe in parentheses, department recommendation,
We can
something like that, so that we know.
It's in the staff report, but it loses
know,
in the resolutions and that's what you guys have in front of you tonight. So
Now this, when it is a resolution of necessity, they still have the option of doing it on their own, don't they?
well, I went out and asked them all to install it out of the kindness of their hearts. Most of the folks all would like, of course, just to defer it for a period of time. So this action would require them to install it by the June 2016.
By the
Yep.
owner of the...
Yes, and there were several owners that I notified that they did install it. I think they saw the need, and they just went ahead and did it instead of asking for the deferral. The ones that are here before you tonight, their lots are still buildable. They're actively trying to sell them and market them. They will lose some sidewalk to construction. Not the whole thing if they control their site, but they will lose. They can lose up to 36 feet of sidewalk panels with home construction for the new driveway. But again, we're looking at lots that are between 15 and 20 years old. These are not quite that old, but you're looking at older lots. I'm sure they're going to sell them next year. I hope they do, but they've been trying to sell them for a long time too. So.
Okay.
And
sir?
Mr. Dyer is here. I think he'd like to speak on it.
Would you like to speak? Go
Right
ahead.
behind me.
The key would be to sell the lots, without a doubt, but that takes a little time. My name, Marion City Council, my name is Jim Dyer. I live at 5020 Mohawk Avenue in Marion. Over the years, I've developed 350, 400 residential lots in northeast Marion and west of Eagle Ridge, plus many residential lots in Cedar Rapids and Hiawatha. Cedar Rapids and Hiawatha, to my knowledge, has never required us to install city sidewalks before a home was built on the site. I hate to show my age, but I've been involved in this type of construction for over 50 years. During this time, I've never had one complaint or injury about a sidewalk not being installed before the home was built. When you install your sidewalk after this home is built, it normally costs about $500 for a single lot, like the single lot up there on the front lot line, and a corner lot like that costs over $1,000. If you build the work before the home is built, then it has to be completely removed. It has a lot of heavy traffic, such as ready-mix trucks, lumber, so on, and they actually destroy the majority of the panels. So you almost need to replace the complete sidewalks. Very expensive to do. Now you have to remove it, haul it away, and then you got to pay a dump fee to dump the concrete. When you install the city sidewalk the second time, it costs almost triple what it cost the original cost the first time. Plus, you got to remove the snow on it when it's necessary, without no home built on the lot. In all those years I've been involved in building, I've never had one complaint about a problem. And I think if there would be a problem, we'd be glad to take care of the problem. And I think 99% of the contractors that build, if they had a problem like this, they'd take care of the problem. We want people safe also. I'm asking you to use common sense and help keep the building costs down. I do have a couple leads on this. I hope to get them sold here shortly, but it does take some time. Could in your development agreement state that if a problem occurs in your future development agreements, you might think about having an agreement that states if a problem would occur, you could have the developer install the sidewalks over a period of time, and I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. I would have a problem with that because I've never had a complaint, but you need to have a formal complaint if that would happen, and it would be installed. I want to keep Marion moving ahead, and by working together, I think we can do this. And I'd like a deferment of that for a period of time so that we can get these lots sold. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Discussion.
Well, Your Honor, if there isn't a real noticeable path worn in the grass, it obviously is not being used that extensively.
I go by their lot, and I've never seen anybody on it, but they must be on there sometime.
But I understand totally about the cost being triple, the removal and disposal and all that.
It's more expensive every year, every day.
I guess from my perspective, and I agree with everything that you've said, it is more expensive to do that. But at the same time, it is a safety concern. You may not have heard a complaint, but it may also be because people are walking down into the street where we don't want them, or they don't know who owns the land. I guess the way that I am looking at this is a resolution of necessity is saying that the city has a problem with no sidewalk there, and it needs to be put in.
If there was a problem, we're capable of taking care of the problem.
And that's what we're asking you to do.
Yeah, well, we'll take care of it if somebody gets hurt. That's our responsibility, not the city's.
It's true, but we prefer to do it before people get hurt.
Well, you're doubling up the cost, which is complete nonsense. You need to do it the first time the right way and not triple up the cost, because that's exactly what it does. Now you just added to the cost of that home drastically, makes it tougher to sell.
And I can understand that. I'm not going to argue your points.
Yeah, well,
but
that's my point.
The fact is it sat there for a number of years. There is a cow path there. I mean, you can see people use it. It's a major road. There's a lot of kids on that road. If we want, as a city, to be kid-friendly, if we want to be pedestrian-friendly, we have to have an interconnected sidewalk system.
Have you had any formal complaints about it? I haven't had anybody ask me about it ever from the city.
I'm not addressing formal complaints. That's,
I never
to
had
me,
anybody
that's not a
ask me
concern.
about
The
it.
concern
Dave,
is
did
that
we
it's not
did we
being
receive
used.
Dave? Did we receive complaints on this one?
I've just received phone calls over the last 2 years, so this is why this one's on the list, because it's not old enough, but it's when I received calls on it.
We would agree to put that sidewalk in on Monarch on one side down there and leave the other open until we get that sold. We would hope to get that sold within the next, within the next year. The difference being is at one time we had a similar problem on 35th Street, and we put the sidewalk in on the one side where they could build a house off the other side on the corner, and that worked fine. And that held the expense down, because otherwise they tear them out completely, you have nothing left. And you gotta haul it away and pay for it.
Have we ever deferred to a definite date?
Well,
You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
that's what you're doing by approving these. We're saying they have to be done by June of next year. I mean, you can defer it for a year or something like that.
I mean, rather than indefinitely defer it, say, defer to, by this date, if you've sold it or haven't sold it, this is what it's got to go.
Well, that's what this is, and it's setting the date at June of 2016.
Yep.
I'd be happy if we'd defer it for at least a year.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. By this action, it has to be installed by June of next year.
That's not a year.
That's not a year.
September.
This is September.
I'm aware, but that's the way we've addressed this issue when we brought it to council. So, if there's a desire to change that, that's the council's
The
prerogative.
resolution says June.
No, it doesn't.
Where does it say June?
Dave.
I believe it's in the resolution. I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
I can. All these resolutions for all these upcoming deferrals are all the same, more or less. It's the 1st of June, 2016, and then unless they should pull a building permit, and then at that time, if they pull a building permit May 31st, he would then have an additional 18 months to install the sidewalk after the building permit's issued. Our goal and hope, and I'm sure Jim's as well, is to sell these and have somebody building on them this spring, early summer. And so once the building permit's issued, you have the course of the 18 months, which is basically a building permit, how long a building permit's good for. So theoretically, it could be 2017 if
Yeah, I see.
Jim has these lots sold and somebody starts building on them before we see a sidewalk. But if he has nothing started, then we throw out June. And June 1st was an arbitrary date on my part. I was trying to get us through the spring, get us into a drier weather, where hopefully it could be done.
I'd like it in September at least, because
everybody's busy. You got drier weather during that period of time. It's hard to get a lot done in the spring when everybody's swamped with work. And that would be my reasoning for that.
You know, Mayor, we get mixed feelings and mixed opinions at times. I felt all along you can't put a sidewalk in and then drive concrete trucks across it and big trucks delivering drywall and wood and things without breaking it up. And that's what we're hearing tonight, that, you know, I've heard you could put dirt over them and do that, but most of the fellows I talk to say, you're going to break them up if you put them in there. It's too bad we don't have a temporary little lay-down machine like a golf cart where you could go in there and lay something down that could be used, you know, during the period before you build on it.
I've seen temporary sidewalks built out of stone before that laid down and they rolled it and made a temporary walk on it. It's a lot cheaper than concrete.
You know, if they're going to break it up and you put it in there, it does cost more money. I can understand that because you got all in the way. But if there was a way to do it on a temporary basis, you know, I think that'd be something we should be looking at.
City code calls out for concrete sidewalks.
Yeah.
So
If we defer to September, is that problematic for staff?
Good enough?
If it was an arbitrary date, then why can't September be the arbitrary date? If that's what he's...
Yes, I would ask that we defer this till we can reword the wording to say September.
You can amend the motion. No? Yeah.
We can do it tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a
Right.
resolution. You can make an
Go ahead.
amendment to the...
Okay.
Again, June 1st was just an arbitrary date that I pulled out, so it's not...
Arbitrary. But if there are a lot of these lots that are in neighborhoods, established neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks, why not use a temporary, instead of going absolute, it's got to be concrete? You know, what would be wrong with that? And then install the concrete after the residence is built.
You'd have to change the city code.
Right, our code calls for
we would have to
concrete.
totally look into that. I mean, have to be
Yeah,
ADA compliant and everything like that.
Let's,
It's not a temporary thing. We can use crushed stone on construction sites and things like that on a temporary basis. I don't know what your definition of temporary is on something like this. If it sits for 10 years, I don't think that's going to fly from an ADA standpoint.
Well, crushed stone, I wouldn't
I
want
think
to.
it's reasonable to expect that they go in, you know, after they've sat, a lot has sat for a while, that the sidewalks go in for safety and all those reasons, and, you know, but if, you know, he's asking for a couple more months, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, when you pour the driveway, you pour the sidewalk. You know.
I guess, I don't know if engineering or planning remembers when Connection Boulevard, when those buildings went in and they built after the sidewalk was in, did they end up tearing those sidewalks out?
No, they connected onto those. Along the edges, though, you have all that land that you could drive around and get construction vehicles on the end. So it's not as confined as the area that you're talking about here.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't disagree with driving vehicles over. You're going to bust some of this up. That's what you got to weigh.
Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to argue that. I just know that was a case where we actually did that in town, so.
Sir.
So then I support modifying Resolution 24824 to add to it, instead of saying June 1st of 2016, that it says September
October 1st.
or October 1st
October 1st
of 2016.
Do a second?
Make that a motion.
Second.
I would second that.
Okay, fine. We have a motion and a second to approve this resolution, but the date would be 1 October.
And he also has a second. He has Windermere and Windermere 6th and Heights.
It shows the same
10.
two lots. Those are
So
the two lots.
I would like to make this motion cover both of those.
Well, then you'll have to do it separate.
Doggone it. You're no fun at all.
Well, we have two different resolutions, so
Mayor,
let's,
you need to vote,
let's
to amend the resolution first, and then vote.
yeah. So let's vote to amend the resolution from June to 1 October. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Fine, we've amended the resolution 24824 to 1 October, correct?
Correct.
2016.
2016.
Because there's another 1st of October coming up shortly.
Okay.
Thank you
fine.
very much.
Very well. So that's for resolution 24824.
We need to vote on the
We need to vote on it as amended.
Okay, now we have an as amended resolution 24824 with 1 October.
Probably not, because then they would say it would be,
We already have do we need a second on this now? Second?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
We don't need a second, it's just, we just need to
All those in
vote.
favor of this resolution as amended, 24824, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Councilman Crawford.
Yes, this is resolution number 24825, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalk located at 4225 Monarch Avenue, Lot 209, Windermere Heights, 10th Edition. This is the Dyer Family LLC, James Dyer.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24825.
Mr. Mayor,
I
I move,
move to amend this motion by changing the date from June 1st to October 1st, 2016.
second.
Motion is made and second for an amended motion for amended for resolution 24825 from 1 June to 1 October of 2016. Discussion? All those in favor of this, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 4, the amended resolution 24825 with the new date 1 October 2016. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Councilman Nick.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24826, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalk located at 5740 Woodbridge Crest, Lot 310, Hundreds Ridge Golf Club, 9th Edition.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24826.
Is this another possibility of this
All,
going?
all these lots we are, to be sold,
Yeah. You don't know.
they say it is, so. Everybody has indicated coming all forward that they're all lots for sale, they're actively trying to sell them.
But so it would behoove us to change the date on this from June 1st.
All of these, yes, all of these I recommended June 1st, so as we go forward, either it can be some sweeping motion or you might do individual motions if you want to go to October.
Right. Do we have anyone in the audience representing these lots? None? Yes? Yes? Do you have anything to say? Oh, okay, there, very well. Okay, so we're doing resolution 24826.
Your Honor, I would move to amend this by changing the June 1st, 2016 date to October 1st, 2016.
Second.
Motion is made and second to amend the resolution 24826 from 1 June to 1 October. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Mr. Mayor?
Sir.
Before you move on to the next one, I would move to amend. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, now we have to vote on
okay, I'm sorry.
number
I thought we
16.
voted. Yep.
So now we'll go back to the amended resolution 24826. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And now, Councilman
Okay.
Draper, number 17, sir.
Before you move on to, Mr. Mayor, I would move to amend 24827 through 24831 so that all of them, the dates are changed to October 1st.
Second.
They would be all amended.
Thank you.
Well, then there's a whole string of them then.
Yeah, we amend all of them is the same then. So, but we are,
They have to be done individually.
yeah.
You think so?
But we have an item. Ma'am? You have to step forward, ma'am, to the podium.
We're going to vote on the Mayor?
Sir? Sir?
We need to vote on the motion.
We haven't read the motion.
We have a motion on the table right now to change the date for all of the remaining ones, and we need to vote on that before we
do that?
go
Can we
on to
do
the
that
next
now?
one.
Can we do that? All right, so we're going to amend the resolutions 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, correct? Or that's 26. No, that would be 27,
Yes.
28, 29, 30, 31.
Yes.
From 1 June to 1 October. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Now we have these resolutions 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I'll now amended to 1 October.
Correct.
Right? Okay, fine.
No.
Now we will go back to number 17. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Resolution number 24,827, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of a sidewalk located along Indian Creek Road, Lot 23, Indian Creek Road, First Edition, Gary Lane.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24827. Now, do you have a?
I'll be really brief. I know Mr. Lang's here as well. This is a subject lot. It's a gap. There are several other gaps further up on Indian Creek Road, I believe 4 or 5 total. These all range from 15 plus years old to almost 13 years old, 12 years old. This has probably been the number one request we've got from citizens to get these sidewalks installed along Indian Creek. It's a busy street and carries a lot of traffic, and it is up near several schools. So I know Mr. Lang's here to address this lot.
Thank you. Mr. Lang? Sir.
Thank you. I appreciate being able to talk twice tonight. Gary Lang. I live at 1180 Indian Creek Road. I'm the house over on the side. I initially bought the lot when I bought my house about 13 years ago. If you see right next to it, Alliant had a substation there. They recently demoed that substation. I've been patiently waiting to be able to sell this lot till they demoed that substation. But that lot still looks like a jungle. So my lot does not look appealing until Alliant cleans up their substation lot. So I've been waiting for them to clean up their lot before I'm able to try to sell my lot. So I'd like to defer, putting in a sidewalk until Alliant, cleans up their lot and I'm able to sell mine.
We've got a spring in there so that, a lot of the foliage and things will be gone. I don't know what your lot looks like.
Well, I own the lot and I mow it and I shovel it every time it snows, the same as when I do my own. But the Alliant lot looks like a jungle, and it's not curb appealing to be able to try to sell this lot at this time.
On your lot, do you see a footpath across that, though?
Oh, yeah.
Where people are walking across it?
Oh, yeah. And I don't disagree that there's traffic across it. I keep it mowed and I keep it shoveled until at the time where I can sell it. But I've been patiently waiting for that substation to be demoed. I knew about it years ago, and that the substation is demoed, but I need them to clear up that lot before I can market this lot that I own.
When was that demo?
Oh, about a year ago.
Gary, point that out where that would be on the map once.
That's the substation.
Okay.
That's where it was. This all here is all like a jungle foliage.
So your lot line is
From
right
there
there.
to there.
Right, so what is that path in there?
Is that a right-of-way or
That path in there?
No.
no?
The-
Going
the-
the other way.
Going north.
It's like a driveway or something.
Maybe
An
like tire
easement.
tracks or something?
Easement of some kind.
Like tire tracks? I'm not sure.
Oh, no, who owns that strip?
If I could address that. So Alliant has removed the pad that was there. You can see they would always have a drive access to get into their facilities or substations. So that's the curb cut you see in the gravel area.
Who owns that strip now?
And it's vacant, owned by Alliant. They have contacted me and asked if the city would be interested in purchasing that. I have a proposal that I just received an email in the last couple of weeks. I just haven't brought it forward. So that's one of those where I haven't even looked at it. I don't even know what they're proposing, but I know they'd like to sell it.
Is it likely the city would buy it?
I would think it would be in our interest. I haven't looked at all the conditions, but we own the property directly west or southwest of this. It's the old Parks building, if you recall.
So what would happen to that? I'm just trying to think, if you put in the sidewalk, could the construction trucks go in that way? Build a house?
I don't know that.
Would that solve the problem?
I don't know if that would solve the problem for whoever's building the house.
I mean, if
that,
we're talking
that
about-
it would be likely that we would probably tear out that curb cut and remove all the debris and clean up the lot. I just reading it over and asked Ryan, we'd probably seed it, clean it up and seed it. So, but it just so happens that that's coming kind of at the same time. But
So that being said, even if Mr. Lang puts in the sidewalk, there'll still be a gap of 20 feet there or so?
no, there's a sidewalk there.
There is a sidewalk over the Alliant?
Yeah.
Okay, so there would not be a gap.
No.
There's a sidewalk.
So what would we do with that property?
We would add it to what we own.
And then we own that, then what? What is that then what? What do we do with it? Mow it?
We'd probably just mow it. But actually, there are some, and I don't know if I want to speak necessarily of public services, but if you notice, that's directly adjacent to the bridge.
We do use that area sometimes for staging. You know, if we have to do cleanup along the creek, any type of erosion stabilization control along the bank, and so we have used that as access before.
Would that be a good neighbor for him trying to sell that lot?
Typically, we're hardly ever there. Mike could probably comment more. Mike maintains that area of the Parks Department, but mostly it's just green space.
It's city green space. It's mowed weekly by the Parks Department. If the city acquired the property, we would go in and bring it up to the same standard as the property to the west that the city currently owns. So yes, to answer your question, we'd be a good neighbor, and it would improve the property.
Gary, is your intent to sell that lot?
Yes.
Because you've been parked in a motorhome or somebody has in there.
It has, the intent has been to sell it since I bought it, but I've been patiently waiting on Alliant to get rid of that substation.
Of course, that is floodplain. So,
It's right above the floodplain.
no, it's floodplain because that falls in the purview of what has to be, the stuff has to be built up a certain, John, remember? It has to be, the back part has to be built so many feet above the possibility, and with the way Indian Creek goes a little berserk every once in a while, I would question removing a lot of the foliage and the stability of the, keeping the stuff's there to keep so it doesn't move.
When Indian Creek, though, was running over that 10th Street Bridge, over it, it did not get to your house.
I have not been flooded, never.
Okay.
So the October 1 date of next year.
Depends on if Alliant cleans up their lot and, I can able to sell mine.
So Dave, could he come back and ask for a waiver on that after the October of next year date?
I mean, he can always come back in and ask for an amendment to that original resolution. That if it's approved tonight that he has to install it by October 1st, he could come back in June and say, hey, I feel I'm getting close. I'd like another X amount of months to either get it under contract and sold or whatever he may ask. Again, this stretch of Indian Creek is the most requested one. I mean, it's going to burden quite a few folks, and there's a few more in the audience, but this has been the one that's been I get yearly requests on it. So,
But I think if we did that and maybe added on this particular one, maybe added language to say that he could do that, that would allow us to have our date. We seem to want to have a date, but then it would allow you a way to say, I'm close, give me a few more months or something. What does council think of that?
I do think if the sidewalk was in there that, right now anyway, the trucks could go across that other, it'd be a lot less expensive to fix that little piece of sidewalk that Alliant used than it would be to replace a whole big section. Build a house in there.
We already have the minutes for his trying to sell it. So anyway.
And I guess what I would also let the council know is, I think it's going to be interesting. There's other parcels along this corridor within 300 feet that you're going to be talking to the same issue.
Yeah.
So,
All right. What we have in front of us then is Resolution 24827 with a 1 October date of 2016, correct? Correct. All right. And you're aware of that date. And if there's a problem, you can talk to us later. It's all in the minutes, what we just discussed anyway. So why don't we just go ahead then? Is that all right with you? Fine. All right. For Resolution 24827, it's been amended to 1 October 2016. Any other discussion?
I have one other question.
Go ahead.
If the city puts in a sidewalk and assesses the property for it, do we do that at all?
Yep.
What period of time do we add that to the tax bill? How many years do we?
To 10 years.
10 years?
Paid back over a 10-year period of time.
So if it costs $1,500 to put a sidewalk in there, the tax on that lot would go up $150 a year, roughly.
Mm-hmm. Whatever the...
Or any of the rest of these that are coming.
Yeah, plus interest.
But we don't, the city wouldn't be installing these sidewalks. The residents would. All of these have had memorandum agreements that the sidewalks would go in at time of building.
Okay.
The ones we do the assessment on were the ones before sidewalks were prevalent. So that's why we go 50-50 with the homeowners.
Gotcha, okay.
That's the difference, yeah.
Okay. For Resolution 24827, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Pizarro.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 24,828, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalk located at 675 34th Avenue, Lot 5, Stonefield, First Edition, Holly and Alfred Chan.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for Resolution 24828, which has been amended to 1 October 2016. Sir.
Again, briefly, this is sidewalk is highlighted in red. The owner of this vacant property owns this house here. They're not the original builders of the home. The original builder built the home, bought the adjacent lot, fenced it off, and has used it as yard. Mrs. Chan's in the audience. They bought the home, bought the lot a few years back. Again, this is the second most requested sidewalk installation I get calls on. 34th Avenue, it does carry peak traffic in the morning and afternoons coming out of Linmar. A lot of parents, I think, may stage in this area too, but this does get quite a bit of traffic. And again, a second most requested, and Mrs. Chan is in the audience to speak on it.
Very well. Mrs. Chan? Mrs. Chan, you may step forward. Thank you.
I'm Holly Chan. I reside at 705 34th Avenue. And let's see. I'm not here to argue, actually. I totally agree that a sidewalk needs to be there, and we're a little surprised that it wasn't there when we bought the property. We weren't aware that there was, like many years of issues, that sidewalk needed to be put in, though. We suddenly received a notice from the city saying that I believe the notice, the time of my writing the email, which I have lost, I don't know what date I wrote it, but I wrote it within weeks of receiving the notice, probably a week. And it was in the spring, I'm thinking early summer. And we were told we need to have it in by sometime in August. And I looked at trying to do that. I don't know how many, maybe I called 3 different places to have sidewalk put in. Most of them said, well, yeah, we can do that. We have time in December. And I had no choice but to ask for an extension. With our property, we bought it at Christmas of 2014. We bought it from overseas and arrived in June of 2014. We've been here for just over a year. And we agree that after experiencing our first winter there, that definitely there needs to be a sidewalk. But what we found was when we bought it, we don't need that. We bought both properties thinking we might build there, and we've just been thinking about what we're going to do with it. And that big yard that's fenced in is not necessary to us. It's basically a waste of space for us. And financially, it makes sense for us to sell that lot. We haven't had like 10 or 13 years to try to sell it or anything. So we've been planning to do it actually very soon, around the time that we got the notice at the beginning of the summer. And now we have managed to get 4 appraisals for moving our fence so that we can finish our yard and open up that lot. That's where we are right now. We've got the appraisals, and we have a list of the things we need to do to get, the building permit and things like this, and getting the lot line marked so that they can move the fence. When they move the fence, we already have a realtor, and we've already listed it privately, like ourselves, to sell. But we do have a realtor, and as soon as we can get the fence moved, we will list it with a realtor. So I think that it would be a hot property if anybody wants to go to Linmar. It's walking distance. And there is traffic, but if there can be an extension, like if nobody ever mentioned June or October to us, because that would be really cool. We really had like no amount of time. It was very shocking. And like I said, with the traffic, even though I agree with the idea of shoveling it, I didn't do that either. Like I said, we're from overseas. We're not used to having a house or a yard. But I agree that this winter, if it's okay with everybody, I want to shovel the grass. Just shovel it through so if folks want to walk there. But if the kids are walking, they can cross the street as they turn the corner. Because it makes sense when, in the case of snow, there are mounds. And so you would go to the street and just cross to the next sidewalk. But that's just that's not a really cool thing to say, because that's not I'm just looking for something that's reasonable to get, to try to sell the property.
So just so we understand, is October 1st
Oh, that's
problematic?
wonderful.
Okay,
No.
so that's what the
Yeah.
resolution is, so.
Okay, all
I
right,
think
well,
you're
it
good.
wasn't that before.
Yeah.
Actually, I came here and thought, well, they're going to extend it, but
Yeah, so you're
I have
good.
till last month, not this month. Okay.
Well, that's it. Again, folks, that's exactly, we have individuals that really don't understand when they come here what they're up against. They don't know how to address it. And they really don't know they really don't know what to say. And I'm glad you did show, because we have this resolution 1 October, and I think it'll fall well within your time frame. Thank you, and welcome to Iowa. So there you go. All right, so we have Resolution 24828, and it has been amended to 1 October 2016. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And Councilman Itzel.
Resolution number 24829, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalks located at 2090 and 2350 Indian Creek Road, lots 6 and 8, Indian Creek Road, 2nd edition, J.D. Slaughterback.
Just for convenience, I'm going to combine Resolution 24830 right below this one, because they're all right in the same area, just for presentation purposes.
Okay.
That'd be for Mr. Webster as well. The lots that Mr. Bussey and John Schlotterback own are these 2 lots. Are highlighted in red. If I can zoom in here, I'm sorry. This is actually the old entrance back into the driving range, and another vacant lot in this location. Again, these are on Indian Creek Road. I'm not going to rehash that. The 3rd lot, and it's actually the next item, is a lot owned by Mr. Webster in this location. And again, same reasons as previously stated, it's why we're looking to have them installed.
Thank you.
All right.
Are they in the audience?
I'm sorry? I believe Mr. Bussey's here.
Hi, Jeff Bussey, 6718 Cottage Hill Lane, Northeast. I'm representing Laverne Bussey and John Schlotterbeck regarding Lot 6 and 8, Indian Creek Road, 2nd edition. John and Laverne request deferral of the sidewalk installation requirement while they market those last two lots. John and Laverne have diligently worked on this development over time. Exactly 50 residential lots have been sold, generating an increase in the total tax base of almost $12.5 million for the city of Marion. Only 2 lots remain unsold, one of which served as an access to the driving range until that property was condemned by Marion at the end of 2009. The Indian Creek Road Second Edition area was originally thought to be undevelopable because the elevation dropped off so drastically from the height of the curb of Indian Creek Road along most of its length. It was not platted until mid-2003 when Laverne and John made considerable investment to bring infill to raise the lot elevations. Absent that unique investment, sidewalks along that section of Indian Creek Road would not have been possible at all. There was an 8-foot disparity in height. That investment allows people to walk along a path where the sidewalk will eventually be located when the land is developed versus literally having to walk in the street if they would not have made that investment. John and Laverne have also attempted to be good citizens. They cooperated on tree thinning flood reduction efforts along Indian Creek. They granted utility easements, they granted trail easements, and they donated almost 25 acres of property to the City of Marion in conjunction with the city's 29th Avenue property extension. The appraised value of that property that they donated to Marion was almost $500,000. Marketing of the second edition has suffered through significant external challenges, including a couple of material floods and the 29th Avenue construction project, which caused increased traffic along Indian Creek Road and really hampered our marketing efforts. Those marketing efforts have recently increased with the reduced Indian Creek Road traffic patterns. The lots are priced extremely aggressively at $25,000 per lot. The lots are oversized and back up to open common space, but they are among the lowest priced lots available in Marion. The current asking prices represents a 35% discount from the average assessed value of over $38,000 per lot. The point is that John and Laverne are really trying. They've continued to make significant sacrifices in an attempt to speed up the sale of these lots. Please remember that one of these two unsold lots provided access to the driving range and was not marketed at all until beginning in 2010 after the city took away our driving range. So this is not starting the marketing until 2010 is grossly different from staff saying and referencing that these lots have been around for 15 to 20 years, because these lots have not been marketed for 15 or 20 years. John Schlotterbeck is in a care center and he lives on a fixed income. The extra expense of having to install the sidewalk prior to the lot sale would create a material hardship because, like Jim Dyer says, we're going to have to rip it back out and put it back in. There are very unique circumstances surrounding development of these last two particular lots and multiple extraordinary reasons why the sidewalk requirement should be waived until they're sold. At the very least, it does not seem fair or reasonable to accelerate the sidewalk requirement associated with this 2003 plat to match the requirement for property platted from 1994 to 1999. I had one other additional thought, and I don't know if they have good maps, but all the area behind these lots was all donated to the city by those people. And a large chunk of that property seems like it's underutilized. I think it's because access is limited to that property. Okay? The fact that it's underutilized has been a big disappointment to John and Laverne. They gave the property to the city, and the city's basically done nothing with it. I suggest the city consider acquisition of the lot that contains the old driveway to the driving range to provide better access to that public land that they gave you guys. It is helpful that in this particular case, the sellers are motivated. Okay, so you don't have any way to get to that land. Not using it. It's just a shame. We have 2 lots left to sell. That's all I have. Questions?
You don't feel like a year deferral on this would?
I think that in this case, it's an extraordinary circumstance. Those circumstances should be considered.
You know, the one thing I would like to see, JD, of course, is a realtor, is a sign on them.
Well, I have the properties, I'm also a realtor, and I have the properties listed in the multiple listing for 25,000, and there was a sign placed on them. I'm not sure that it is still there.
See a sign on those lots for sale, you know.
Right, so there were signs on lots at the time. I just don't know if they're still there or not. I
don't-
placed them there myself. So if they're gone, it's because somebody took them away.
Check and see, because,
I'll do that.
you know, they're lots that I think would sell if people may not know they're for sale, you know.
Okay, we'll do that. There are only 2 lots in Marion. JD tells me there are only 2 lots in Marion less expensive. And these lots are oversized.
At that cost, there's just no godly reason they won't sell.
Look, these guys are trying. They're trying, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the point on the access is one that's good, and if that makes, I mean, I think that's one of our limited access points to that area. I think that that would be a good option to actually sit down and talk about that lot. I think it's a very good point.
Both John and Laverne have a significant charitable intent.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We have any discussion?
No, it's just nice to see that Jeff Bussey has been so successful. Former student of mine.
Regardless of that, he made it, you know.
So, Tom, what are you recommending then?
I mean, if we pass the resolution, it gives it till October 1, and if something can be worked out, we'll come back and have a conversation about it. I do think in talking here, that it sounds like there's options. So, I mean, there's a year between now and that, and I would like to start that conversation sooner than later. I mean, the council you don't have to take action on it tonight. You can. I would suggest that you do, and then we can sit down and move forward with it, a conversation. Bring it back to council in the next couple weeks. I'd like to move quickly on it if that's what the council would like to see done.
Fine, and then you're talking about resolution 2-9.
Yep, 2-9.
Very well, very well. Any other discussion? Okay, for resolution 24829, which has been approved or been amended to 1 October 2016. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Spinks?
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 24830, approving a resolution of necessity regarding installation of a sidewalk located at 1960 Indian Creek Road, Lot 5, Indian Creek Road, 2nd Edition, Ryan Webster.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24830, sir.
I'm not sure if Mr. Webster's in the audience or not.
Oh.
I don't believe so.
All right. Any other discussion? For resolution 24830, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilor Crawford.
Yes, this is resolution number 24831, approving resolution of necessity regarding installation of sidewalk located at 2101 Agate Street, Lot 1, Rolling Hill Estates, 3rd Edition. This is Kevin and Stacy Klosterman.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24831, sir.
This should probably be installed within a couple weeks, but I'd like it passed anyways, just in case it doesn't fall through the cracks. But I think they're actively working, and they've talked to the mayor about finishing it up pretty soon. So
I think they're going to probably frame it up this weekend and go from there. It'll be done.
And just one other item. I mean, I have Mr. Spence, who's trying to move the homes on 29th Avenue and 35th. He's got one lot secured, and I've actually sent him all the contacts for all these folks on Indian Creek to possibly move his home to as well. So hopefully he can find maybe a home or a piece of land here for his home. So
Good idea.
Well, let's go with the resolution 24831 discussion. All those in favor of resolution 24831 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24832, designating road use tax funds for the local share of 29th Avenue, 35th Street improvement project costs.
Second. Motion is made and second for resolution 24832. Discussion?
Did we want to possibly look at a four-way stop there until next year?
I was going to address that earlier. The construction's actually going to start in the next couple weeks on that intersection. It's not the spring of 2016.
So we will have,
Those contracts went through a month and a half ago
Right.
with Eastern Iowa for the roundabout.
Yeah.
So it's not the spring. It's basically now that's going to be constructed.
and
So this was, Lon, for you, this was to move the money from lost to the road use tax, is that correct?
Yeah, the local option sales tax money is more flexible, and one of the things that the state really wants to see with the increased road use tax is that we're using it for safety improvements and repairs to existing roads. Some cities have gotten a little bit of bad press about it, and it left a bad taste in some of the legislators' mouth when they immediately started using it to do things like hire staff rather than put it to road improvements, which is what the legislature intended it to be used for. So we'll be tracking what we use the increased road use tax for several years so that we can report that to the League of Cities and they can in turn provide that data to the legislature.
any other discussion? Or Resolution 24832, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Draver.
Yes, Your Honor, resolution number 24,833, approving a contract with Iowa DOT regarding the Marion Airport Improvement Project.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24833. Discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 24833 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Pizzol.
I'm going to take this one. Resolution number 24834, approving payment to Fitbit in the amount of $19,192.50 for the purchase of 150 Fitbit fitness tracking devices associated with employee wellness well-being program.
Second.
Motion is made and second for Resolution 24834. Discussion.
Your Honor, I am really against this because I don't believe this is what taxpayers look at their money being well spent for. If this program was to be extended out to everyone in the blue zone and maybe acting as an incentive to the blue zone people to get more people involved, then I think it would have value. But for the city to be, especially with the incentive, the $100 incentive if they follow what they're supposed to be following, like I said, I don't think this is what taxpayers want their money spent for.
I guess for my part, coming from the corporate world, big companies like Rockwell and all that, this is exactly what they're doing. And these companies don't do that just because they like people. They do it because it saves them money on their insurance. And that's how I feel that the city is approaching this. I know somebody said before, if you're going to save some money, you might have to pay out just a little bit at the front end, but the gains may be a whole bunch. And that's what I feel like this is doing. Besides that, I've heard some people like, well, why do we want the employees to have something like this? And I think someone at the library said that last week at the Wednesday night meeting. The employees are very important. They're the ones that make the library function. The employees are the ones that make the city go around. These folks over here represent 230 employees that make the city play. And so, the employees of the city are important. And I think we should be investing to help them to make themselves better and to be closed-eyed to what, not helping them out. I think that's just wrong.
Yeah, I think, and I think everybody knows that whenever we have these issues where it's not really clear right off the bat, I always do a lot of research and I want to educate myself so I can make an informed decision. And whichever decision people make, I think you should always try to make it an informed decision based on, reasoning, good reasoning. And, thinking about this, we have to, I mean, at least I tell myself, in this case, I have to, I mean, if the first reaction is, that's just frivolous spending, but then, think about it a little bit more, and, you have to think of the city as an employer. And the city, we're not just the city council running the city, we're also an employer of, I don't know how many people, but a lot of people. And as an employer, you have an interest in making sure you have a healthy workforce, because in the end, the bottom line of that, it affects your bottom line, which is reduced health care expenses, which the ultimate beneficiary of that is the citizens. The citizens that we don't want to waste the money to spend on Fitbits are going to, we're trying to, I think the intent of this is to save them money with lower health insurance costs over the long term, because you have a healthier, more fit workforce. Now, I got at least one phone call, and I've heard, people are questioning it and all that. But my question is, though, so to me, in my mind, there's no question on why you do something like this and why you have a wellness program. Major corporations all have wellness programs. They see the benefit of it. We, as an employer, like all those corporations, need to think the same way, on these things. But this particular item, this particular program, is there something more information we can get about? I mean, I did try to look up to see if other cities are doing this. There are other cities that have Fitbit programs and wellness programs, they're doing different things with them. Like one, I think, was Springfield, Illinois, had only a certain amount, and the employees could check them out for 30 days, and then after 30 days they could buy it. There were different programs that they were doing to get people to get used to using them, but is there data? Is there anything that shows what other cities have done and that it's lowered their health insurance rates using Fitbits, or making those available to employees?
Everything that we've been doing through our well-being program is researched and vetted through Vivera, our well-being partner, and we listen very hard to their recommendations about the programs that they think are effective. Because when you've got limited dollars, and there's hundreds of different things that you can do as part of a wellness or well-being program, we ask them to make the recommendations to us for the ones that had, through science, the biggest bang for the buck, the ones that had the biggest positive benefits. And this was one of the things that they recommended to us. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that doesn't get lost in the conversation is that these are not something where they're being bought and given to the employees personally. These will be purchased, but they're owned by the city. So if an employee leaves the city, they have to turn that back in so that it can be used by whoever the next employee is hired. I look at these as a tool. To me, they're in the same category as a high-visibility safety vest that we give an engineering tech to go out and work in the right-of-way. It's something that is a mechanism for us to be able to not only track employee participation, but also a way for us to be able to do different types of employee well-being events. If the Public Service Department wants to challenge the Parks Department to a number of steps done in a month, they'll have the ability to do that, and we will have the ability to track it. So it really opens a lot of doors for us on the well-being side to be able to do those kinds of challenges, and also raises the awareness of an employee on a daily basis of what they are doing to make sure that they're taking care of their health. As far as the cost savings, it takes some investment up front, because usually the cost savings start to show up about the 3 to 4 years after you start your well-being programs. And just for a little bit of reference, the budget for the coming year, we budgeted for healthcare claims, and because we are self-funded, we pay all healthcare claims directly up to $30,000, and then a supplemental insurance policy takes it over from there. We're budgeting for $1.925 million in healthcare claims. So if we can impact that number by 1%, we've paid for the Fitbits. That's all it takes. And with the well-being programs, the way that we have them structured, if we can catch one person before they develop a chronic health condition, or 2 people decide to stop smoking or stop using tobacco, we've paid for these fitness devices. When the council adopted the the well-being policy in September of 2014, one of the items in that policy was a finding that there was a public purpose to spending dollars on an employee well-being program. That public purpose is reducing future health care costs, because that goes directly to the bottom line on property taxes for every employee that's get either partially or fully paid for out of the general fund. And that's the name of the game, is figuring out a way to make sure that we keep those costs under control to the maximum extent that we can going forward.
How much use would you get out of a Fitbit? I mean, how soon would it be obsolete? I mean, do you have to keep rebuying these things, or do you get it and you use it for 10 years? I don't know.
They're still fairly new. I think we're anticipating getting around 5 years worth of use out of them.
5 years.
They have to be charged on, or how do they? I'd like to see one before.
I don't know if anybody in the
How do we
audience
know
has
if
one.
They're charged.
If I have one, how do I know who checks me to see if I've charged it?
Doug, I know that you did a lot of the research on these. You might be able to address the technical details of them better than I can. Yeah.
Doug Sloyle. Yeah, I did a lot of research on these. The reason that we chose the Fitbit Charge HR is because we were able to. That was the money spent was for the best product at the time. The Fitbit Charge HR is an open platform type of device. It fits with a lot of Android and the Apple products, and also the Windows products. So it was an open product there. It does charge. It charges, as I understand it, runs up about 3 to 4 days on a single charge. It measures HR stands for heart rate. It measures your sleeping patterns. It helps adjust your eating habits. If you're sitting idle for a period of time, it'll alarm you to get up and move around. It's interactive with your desktop, and as Lon stated that you can do, I can do a challenge with my wife. I can do a challenge with you if you had a Fitbit. I can do a challenge with other employees. It allows engagement. One of the things that we have a challenge with at the police department is that we're kind of private. We don't like to engage outside of the workforce. Where here we can do that and still maintain our privacy and our individuality. ML, you are aware of the culture that we come from, and we don't like to step out of the law enforcement area. Where now we can play in a cyber type of world and challenge each other and see each other how we behave.
And one of those things, particularly for a city our size, with the variety of functions that we do, it can be very difficult. When we did our Employee Appreciation Week, and the mayor and I went around to a lot of the departments, there's a lot of people on overnight shifts or that do the midnight shift for the police department that, I might not have seen for 2 years. And they never see anybody who might work in the Parks Department during the day. This actually allows for that type of employee interaction between the people in all those different departments and all those different shifts who might not otherwise really know much about each other. One of the things about our program and the way it works is every employee who participates does a biometric screening, and based on that biometric screening, they will come up with specific recommendations and things that that person can do to improve their health. These devices can link into the Vivera site, and when Doug is talking about, reminders to get up and move around, if it looks at your personalized profile and what you should be doing, you can program it to do those types of things to help you follow through on those recommendations.
I have no loyalty to Fitbit. I looked long and hard on the city's dime while I'm working, trying to figure out what the best device was to invest our money into. And the Fitbit was hands down. I went to the independent researchers and their studies and looked at many of them, and I came back, and that's what the group decided upon, is to go after the Fitbit, and then what money could buy the Charge HR. There are more expensive models. This is not the most expensive model.
Do health clubs use Fitbits?
There are many. They often call them fitness trackers, which you call shoes. You don't call them Nikes, but fitness trackers. There are a lot of fitness trackers out there. There are more coming out every day. It's a big market, along with other popular items right now. So it's a big market. So there are many different items right now. But the Fitbit has been out the longest. We say Fitbit, we think of fitness trackers. You say Kleenex, you think of tissue. So it is a product that is not in the beta stand. It's out there and it's been proven. So I feel confident investing my taxpayer monies in something like this.
I will say, from my perspective, I've had a Fitbit and I've used a Fitbit, and they are incredibly easy to use. And the one thing I was glad it was Fitbit, because they're not the expensive end of it. I mean, they're a great product, but they can be used on a lot of different platforms, not just the ones that the city have. But there's a lot of apps out there where you can track nutritional information and that kind of stuff, depending on how much a person wants to use it. Charging it, it's a USB charge. You can plug it into the computer and it charges. It lasts 4 or 5 days probably. They really are. I've looked at a number of fitness trackers, and that's the one that I went with, and they do work really well.
And it plays very well with the Vivere, the wellness program.
Do you know other cities in Iowa that are using them long?
Omaha.
Not off the top of my head. I know Cedar Rapids
Oh,
is
it's
looking at it,
close.
but I'm not sure if other ones have adopted this specific model.
Cedar Rapids is probably looking to follow our lead again on
Again, like the
Iowa City,
sidewalk.
like everything else.
Yeah. Our suburb to the west.
If I could just say a couple things, and I sit on the wellness committee, and Amanda's been instrumental in that committee as well. And I think, and I don't know if it was presented on Tuesday or not, I don't recall, but it's not like everyone just gets it. You have to participate. Not everybody was really excited about having their biometric screening completing, which means they have to give blood and it's analyzed. I mean, of the employee pool that we have, what was the percentage?
83%.
So 83% participation. That's 18% that decided, I don't want to do this. So, and then along with that, so you have to have a review done. There are certain things that you have to participate in, and it's not that it's public information, but it requires a person to do things that aren't really in their comfort level all the time. I don't mind getting a physical, and I do all the fun tests that are required as I get older, but I can tell you there are a lot of people that don't want to do that, and they're refusing. And if you can imagine, if I decided not to have some of those tests, and 5 years from now, all of a sudden I have a colon issue or something that's not very popular or fun to talk about, that would be huge to the city. So I think, that participation is very important, and that's key. I mean, if you don't participate, you don't get the benefit. And I think that is what's driving this, is you have to watch videos. There are things that you have to participate to get enough points to even benefit from the program. I think it's interesting, and I'll just tell you from a staff perspective, not everybody likes to drink a whole lot of water. Soda pop's easy, different options. Darren, prime example. As this program, we did a challenge. We went 3 weeks, drink about a gallon of water a day. I can tell you that it was really interesting to walk around and see how many people were actually participating in it. And drinking water is essential to being healthy. And it was really good to see the spirit and the staff doing that. Now, I'm not trying to sell this. I just wanted to let the council know that there are challenges and there are requirements to participate. It's not just a given. You have to have, there's a point system, you have to provide points, and you have to meet the points to get the benefit. If you don't, then you don't get any benefit. So anyway, that's all I want to say.
Not everyone from the police department qualified.
Doug. You wouldn't have to see how much they were drinking. All you'd have to do is listen for those who were sloshing.
Not all of those from the police department qualified for this, as Tom was saying. You have to go through a process. Not everybody gets a piece of candy when you come to the door. And so health doesn't start at retirement, as I try to remind everybody. Health starts now, and it's a changing of habits. And as you're walking around with water, it's just starting the changing of those habits. The habits have to start somewhere, and we have to motivate the employees somehow. And we can continue to talk to them and show them the numbers. But you engage them, you engage the population I get to work with, and it's not only physically more healthy, it's also emotionally more healthy. And so there are bigger, to me, sitting there looking at this, looking at all the reviews, it's bigger than just a fitness device. It's a lifestyle.
And if I remember correctly from the presentations sitting in on the different firms, Vivera, I think, said that they usually expect about 75% employee participation after 3 years. So if we had 83% in the first year, I think it's a testament to the Well-Being Committee doing a good job of weeding through all the options that were available and selecting things that were going to motivate employees to participate. You know, our next challenge is to make sure that we start getting more spouses to participate, and because they're a big driver of our health insurance costs as well. But that really is the name of the game, is doing everything we can to slow any acceleration on that bottom line for healthcare costs.
I would just like to say that I received 4 emails. 2 of them had just one word. And I thought this was really well, the information was brought to the public really well with the Gazette and then on TV too. So I was surprised I only got 4 emails. But I think this is a win-win situation because it will reduce the health care costs, increase fitness, and improve morale. So I think it's great.
Well, that's easy. The thing is about businesses doing this, those businesses are profit seeking. Marion, or a city, is a service, and they have a different reason for being rather than manufacturing or whatever. Like I said, if you want to give it to everybody that's in blue zone, fine. And as an incentive, maybe this would really work. But just to single out a few people, which, 180? I don't think, well, the response I've gotten has all been negative. So,
I guess, though, I don't see this as a way to drive profits like you say businesses do. This is a way to cut costs, which the city does look to do. And I guess I'm not understanding what you're saying as far as give it to everyone in the blue zone.
well, then it's an incentive for all those people to be healthier.
So your suggestion is to give it to everyone in the city?
Well,
I don't know how you're going to address everyone in the city, because you've got city taxpayers that are using this is city taxpayer money. Obviously, we're trying to save money on our healthcare costs, but the people out there in the city, our taxpayers, are saying, is this what we want to do? What am I getting out of besides saving this healthcare money? I'm not getting fit. My public employees are going to be the most fit people in the city, and yet the populace is basically paying for it. Understand? Now, this magic potion of $19,000 to purchase 150 Fitbit fitness things, is that automatically going to reduce our health costs? Can we reduce our health costs other ways? I mean, we have, why don't we say we use our management, our department heads, to manage their employees? They're talking about challenges and challenges. They can do these challenges among themselves through their departments, and manage their own departments and monitor their own departments without spending $19,000 on these 150 Fitbits. They can have employees fit and come up with all these wellness programs without spending taxpayer $20,000, $19,000. This is one way of doing it, but there are other ways, and it's been this way for a long time. I mean, you can track wellness without Fitbits, in my opinion, and without spending this money. The taxpayers out there are saying, why are we spending this money for our city employees? I'm not getting a better health care. Nobody's looking after me. And they say, why don't we just regulate it among our city staff without this purchase?
I can say that research shows that well-being programs that do not provide incentives to employees to participate fail.
Well, I didn't say anything about incentives. I didn't say anything about that $100 business. That's not. I didn't address that.
No,
that would be a whole nother. That would be a whole nother topic, which
they
do not like, sir.
Well, there is a magic point, sure, but there's a magic point for where you get participation.
I'm talking. They, meaning the people that have talked to me, are saying, what is going on with this? Why don't we just monitor our health care among ourselves. Why do we have to have this high-tech spending? I mean, this is not automatically going to reduce our health costs unless we have full participation. And you say it's going to take 3 or 4 years. When you can take $20,000 and fix a road, that's immediate. And that's what the taxpayers are looking at.
I cannot take $20,000 from the health insurance fund and use it to fix a road. This comes from the employee
I understand
benefits
what you're
levy,
saying. And I mean, we can go on and on and on. But I have said this over and over again. We answer to the taxpayers. We answer to the voters.
But it is also our job to help get out the reason that we do this. And the reason that we do this is to lower the property tax rate. And is it a guarantee? No. Nothing we do is ever a guarantee. But we hired a company that specializes in doing these things and is successful at doing these things all over the country. They say the scientific evidence is there that if you have a tracker like this, it works. If you don't, it doesn't. I've had phone calls, I've had emails as well. I have not had one from a healthcare expert. And that is why I try to explain to them, we hired this company to give us this information because this is what they do every day. So it is our job to explain to people, yes, it's $19,000. But if you look at the return on investment, it pays for itself several times over with all the data out there. So it's not just our job to listen and say, yes, you're right. It's our job to listen, understand what they're saying, but also get out the facts. And I think that's what's missing here.
You know, for a person who has had probably spent $4 million on a heart to keep it beating over the last 30 years, one person, you know, I've had calls too, and my reply has been, if we could uncover something with one employee, if we had one employee, if I had been a city employee, I'd come back to work and the city would have spent all that money on me. My insurance companies did. And if we can uncover one disease or one thing with an employee, it's well worth the money. You know, somebody had said to me when I was 50 years old, hey, we're going to put a monitor on you, I would have known when my heart rate got to 13 the night before they put the first pacemaker in. I think anything we can do to monitor the health of an employee or a citizen or whatever is just invaluable. I mean, we're talking life or death in some cases. So in a way, Mayor, we're protecting the citizens with the good employees we have by maybe keeping them healthy. You know, Ryan needs people to plow snow in the middle of the winter, and if suddenly he had 4 people that couldn't work, he don't like to drive a snowplow anymore, I know. So, you know, I look at it, and I've looked at it both ways. But I began to think personally what that could have meant, you know, during my lifetime.
I'm surprised, Lon, you didn't ask the library board to put a running track in the library. But sorry, I had to say that.
There would be something.
But I stand by what I was saying, is that I think you invest in the employees and that you will see that value reaped. It may not be this year, but in a couple of years, I think you'll see that reaped. So I think you had a hand in the back there.
Sir.
John Nealon, 1390 48th Street. Your Honor, I've heard a lot of people saying that this is going to help us. Nobody's talked about the practical thing. I own a Fitbit. Where is it at? Oh, I got up this morning. I had to run. I forgot it. How many people are not going to do that? You wear your Fitbit every day, officer? I don't have one, sir. I'm sorry. I thought you talked about it. The second thing is, he talked about how it interfaces with your desktop. How many of the people have a desktop? How many people know how to program it with their desktop? Are you going to send an IT person out to every person who gets one of these and say, this is how you use it, we'll set it up for you, and what's the cost there? So what's the practical end of it? I don't think you're looking at it about the individuals. The other thing is that, oh, I've got one. I'm interested. I'm going to hang in there for 30 days. And all of a sudden, the gloss is gone and it's not nearly as much fun as it was when we got started. I think that's a major problem. People every year, 1 January, I'm going to join a health club. They run out and join a health club, and for 30 days they go every day. And then after that, they wish they'd have gotten their money back because they just don't participate. I apologize for raising my voice. But, you're not thinking about the practical end of it because you're going to give it to employees who don't necessarily have the incentive to continue doing these every day for 3 or 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other discussion?
Question.
See, yeah, I know.
I'm asking the question, please.
You're calling for the question.
I'm calling the question.
For the resolution 24834. Yeah, we'll have a roll call vote. So we'll have a roll call vote on the resolution approving the payment for the Fitbit.
Ms. Etzel?
Yes.
Mr. Spinks?
Yes.
Mayor Buska?
No?
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Abou-Osley?
Yes.
Mr. Draper?
Yes.
Ms. Pazor?
No.
Passes 5-2.
It's close.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 24,835, setting the first Friday and Saturday following the first Tuesday in November as the annual dates on which the City Council work sessions regarding the strategic plan will be held.
Second.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24835. Discussion? All those in favor of resolution 24835 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilor Spinks. Oh boy, we've got more going on here.
Yes, I move to approve Resolution 24836, setting the third Friday and Saturday in January as the annual dates in which the City Council work session regarding the operating budget will be held.
Second.
Oh, boy.
Motion is made and second for resolution 24836. Discussion? Those in favor of 24836 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? At this time, we have a mayoral appointment. Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor, I move for approval of Renee Forsythe Christie for the Marion Civil Rights Commission, term expiring 12/31/16.
Second.
Motion is made and second for a mayoral appointment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Council discussion.
Your Honor, there is a little park at 5th Avenue and 16th Street. It's called Elza Park, and it's a little pocket corner of a piece of ground that there's playground equipment and all. But apparently there's been a segment of the population that's moved in and has been less than kind to this little park and have left personal items there, which I won't go into what they are. And I think the neighbors are asking for a street light, possibly. Or if there is a street light, to maybe trim the trees around so that there is more illumination there.
Are you aware of this, Mike?
No, I'm not.
All right.
I'm not sure what council members Pazur is related.
Well, they're
speaking
leaving
to.
personal items, male personal items.
Again, I'm not aware of that.
Having a water fight.
Elasticity personal items.
Move on.
Okay, secondly, the wooden parts of the library entrance, both front and back, if they could be sanded down and shellacked or some kind of, they're dry and they're just not, well, they're not healthy looking. Also, I've had a complaint about the new business cards. On the back, it used to have the department's phone numbers, and it's not on these business cards. And also, Ms. Matthews left, and I have never been one to duck an accusation. And yes, I did accuse the city manager of purchasing property. And we had a discussion afterward, which obviously she was not privy to, and that was about the fact that what he does is he gets a bid in on property that is desirable for the city to own before somebody else grabs it out from under him. And I think that it would be nice if she would tell the rest of the story.
I would just like to say that I appreciated Jeannie Matthews coming in tonight and a lot of the other business owners and citizens of Marion. I just really hope that people listen to her tonight and take the bullying seriously that's happening, because no one deserves to have these false statements said about themselves.
She did it about
You done? Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought it was neat tonight having a room full of people, and when we did the Pledge of Allegiance, to hear the chorus of people. You know, I think we're losing that dedication to the flag in the U.S., and I really think that's something we ought to build back up again. The second part is talking about the library meeting last Wednesday. And I thought the library board and everyone involved did an excellent job in explaining that. Some of the funding was better realized after I went to it. I didn't even think about the fact that Marion Independent Schools would reap a benefit of that. And I was very glad that the board decided to make it a public vote, because I know that council had asked that, and so I was glad that they did that. And if you want to see some of the explanation, I noticed Inspire had the slides from that meeting on there. So if you want to go take a look at it and get an idea of what was presented that night, the architects, and I think Lon explained the funding, and the board had some on there. The other thing is that there's a growing movement, I will call it, against some of the management of the city. And this may be not a good thing to say, but it irks me, and I know that one of the ladies that spoke about it, there's some good websites out there. The Citizens for a Better Marion are one that's more of a positive website, and so they tend to present things in a positive note. If you want to read one that's a negative note, it's called Marion, Iowa Activists, and if you want to read that, it says that everything that we're doing is wrong. But anyway, I feel like that there's some things being said that are not true, and I want to say to Lon and the city that I support you, and I want to see that Marion succeeds in the endeavors that are going on, because the people, the citizens of Marion, will definitely reap the benefit of that in years to come. So I, for one, say thank you, Lon, and publicly.
I also want to say thank you to the entire city staff. I think we have top-notch city staff, and they, along with many other people who really want to see good things happen, are making good things happen. And we've made Marion the envy of many cities in Iowa and in the Midwest. And my work in the last few weeks has taken me to rural Iowa. Real rural Iowa. And if you think things are bad in Marion, drive through rural Iowa. Drive through some of those small towns and see the dying towns that are metal buildings and nothing else. And I understand that at some point we're not all going to agree on everything, but to get to a point where there's nothing right being done in Marion, there's nothing good happening in Marion, that's where you lose credibility. So drive through rural Iowa and you really appreciate the problems we have in Marion, because our problems are good problems. They're problems of growth. They're not problems of how are we going to keep our town alive. They're problems that we're facing because the town is growing. And there seems to be, I think and it's natural, some anxiety in the community about, our town is not a little Marion anymore. It's growing, and the blame is being laid on the city that they want to grow. Well, that's not at all the case. The people are moving. The city's not going out and recruiting residents. They're not advertising for people to come live in Marion. It happens to be where people want to live and where the developable land is and where the good schools are. And people are moving here, so the city's trying to react to that, to grow in a way that makes sense, to diversify the tax base so that we're not all residential tax base, to attract commercial development and industry, commercial services, because the people that move here need services. So, these are all good problems to have. Many towns would wish they had our problems. So we all have to just kind of keep that perspective and keep in mind that we're all on the same team. We say that, Paul and I say that all the time. We're all on the same team. We're all working towards the same goal. We all love Marion. We're not going to agree on everything, but when we disagree, let's keep it civil. When we decide where we stand on something, let's make it based in fact, based on clear reasoning, on sound reasoning, because then I respect everybody's opinion. I respect everybody's right to object and to dissent from a decision. But let's make our decisions and our stances on things be based on sound reasoning that makes sense. And then, you have no choice but to respect that decision. And that's how we should operate. And let's, give each other the benefit of the doubt and keep working together to make things better. On roundabouts, I know that we've said that this 29th Avenue roundabout is going to be the test, but I really think that the one we have on Alburnett Road is the test. I drive on that every single day, and it's rare. Almost never am I the only one going through that. There are always multiple cars coming in and out while I'm in that roundabout. I've never seen anybody hesitate, never seen anybody have a problem or an issue. It's working beautifully, and I love the fact that I don't have to stop, and it slows everybody down. I can see where the studies say that the accidents are less severe and there's fewer accidents because it forces you to slow down, and you're not accidentally shooting through a light or a stop sign. You're forced to slow down, and everybody is maneuvering and navigating through it perfectly. I've never seen anybody have a problem. There's always 4 or 5 cars when I'm going through it. Maybe it's the right times, whatever, that are either coming in or out of it. So I think that is our test, and it's proving to work well. I don't know if we've had any complaints or any accidents out there, but from my perspective, I'm sold on it. So I think that was all I had to say. Thank you. Sorry for prolonging the meeting, but these things have been going on in my mind. I wanted to say them.
Well, they haven't got to me yet. So. I have a few things. First of all, our police department. We learned yesterday something they've known for a long time. We have a different citizenry in our town now that bears watching. Cedar Rapids, our suburb to the west, have had more than they can handle. And our PD is prepared, but watch your back, guys. You got a lot of stuff going on, and I respect what happens there. So the news wasn't good this morning, So when you have drive-by shootings, it's time to go do something, and I know you are. The other thing is everybody vote next week on the school board election. It's important. Joe, I would echo the library meeting. There were several of us there. and I have been trying to represent the council at those meetings and will continue to do that. And I really respect the thought, and I confirm full-heartedly to take it to a vote. I think we need to, like I said before, I'm a visual guy. I got to see these plans. But I think that it's going to take a lot of meetings and a lot of work on the library board's behalf and us to present this to the public so they understand. I think a lot of people left the meeting last week with a completely different idea than they went in that room with. So we have a lot of work to do to see where we're going to end up there. The other thing I had is I suddenly realized this week that unless the voters choose to send me back here, I have 7 more meetings in this seat. And I have a little laundry list of things that, coming from the business world, I learned that nothing happens quite as quickly in the city as I'd make a decision at 9 in the morning and we were doing it at 9:30. And it takes a bit longer. And I have just a small list I'll give you tonight in essence of time. One of the things on my laundry list is before and in as soon as we can, because in my other life I know how important response time is for fire and police, in particular fire, because it keeps our homeowners rates down here instead of up here. And I'd sit here and I'd like to know sooner than quicker where this new fire station is going to be. It's of utmost importance to the citizens. We're building houses where it's harder and harder to get there in the time we want to get there. So, Chief, there's a challenge for you. The only other thing I have is I've had for 3 years wondered how in the world our city planner can go out to a new construction site and tell me you have to put asphalt parking in here for so many cars. Asphalt. How in the world can the city of Marion own a parking lot that's gravel? I would tell you to go fly a kite if you come to my business and told me that. And by God, we need to start working on that, and I know Ryan is a little bit. But we have a lot on 9th between 7th and 6th Avenue. We need parking, and there's a perfectly good parking lot to be. It isn't yet, but it will be. So that's all I have tonight.
I think whenever we have council discussion time, I think I should completely defer to Councilman Nick Avalosely.